That's right, the two women in front did seem to have seen it somewhere. And not so long ago. But at the same time, it is certain that they are also dragon-level roles. At least relative to the original, or this era. Therefore, Sha Luo still couldn't remember where she had seen them. Seeing the two women walking by not far from the side, Sha Luo thought for a while, followed quietly behind her without making a sound. I saw the two walking left and right, and soon, they entered the area of Sabodi Archipelago number 17. Sha Luo got a little closer, and at the same time saw and heard the color activated, only to hear the two of them walking and talking in a low voice. You said that the old captain asked us to fetch the Spring of Life and give it to Lord Snakeji. Will it really work? Said one of the women in colorful clothes. Who knows? Another blonde woman said, but the old captain's words should be right. After all, Lord Snakeji is her righteous daughter. However, she also once left the whole country, and people ran out. The woman in Kai said, otherwise, Lord Snakeji might not have this strange disease. Okay, don't talk about it. The blonde woman said, the old captain will not harm our Lady Sheji. Hurry up and send the newspaper you bought to her and Lady Sheji. Oh. The woman in Kai said, speaking of which, can reading newspapers cure diseases? It shouldn't be used for healing. The blonde woman said speechlessly, okay, the old captain's words must be right, just take the newspaper back. After the two finished speaking, they said no more. Behind, Sha Luo was surprised. Snake girl. The people of the 9 snakes came here. And then, Blue Enchantress Oribabena, who had fought with him before, is still ill? In an instant, Sha Luo remembered the fate of the 9 snake emperor for several generations in the original book. Could it be that, this time, is it because of me? Sha Luo then continued to follow quietly. The two women walked forward for a while, and after a while, they pushed open the door and entered a wooden house in front. Old Captain, Lord Sheji, we are back, the blonde woman said. Oh, did you bring the newspaper back? Said a middle-aged woman's voice. Well, here. The blonde woman replied. Let me see, the middle-aged woman said. The room was quiet for a while. Sha Luo quietly walked not far from the house. After a long while, I heard a slightly familiar voice of a young woman who said weakly, Mother, will I die? Hey. Hearing her words, the middle-aged woman sighed and said, don't worry, after taking the potion, you will survive. Compared with this, do you want to listen to the latest news in the newspaper? What news? Said the young woman. The woman who dominates the new world, Charlotte Linlin of the Big Mom Pirates, officially launched an attack on Bologna Island opposite the Red Line yesterday. The year-old woman said. Is that the woman who claims to be? The wife of that man. The young woman said, HMPH, really cheeky. One by one. Did that man come forward to clarify? No, the middle-aged woman said. According to the reports, he did not participate in this battle, nor did he make any statement. However, according to eyewitness reports, Charlotte Linlin's 14-year-old son Charlotte Kataku Lee also seems to call him father. 14 years old. Hearing this, the young woman said, he can't be his own child, right? From the perspective of age and identity, it should be unlikely. The middle-aged woman said, however, it is also true that he calls him his father. HMPH, shameless. The young woman snorted again and said, do you think that if you make a child who you don't know where he got from calling him his father, then he can marry her and marry her as his wife? Well, who knows? The middle-aged woman said, but, if you have children, you can also try it. Who will try that kind of thing? Cough. Cough. The young woman almost had a seizure, but then coughed weakly. The room fell silent for a while. Then, the young woman whispered again. But, is it really possible? Hearing the woman's words, outside, Sha Luo couldn't help but be speechless. By the way, what are they talking about? Why'd I understand every sentence, but together I feel that this dialogue is so strange. Then, what do I do now? The man they were talking about was undoubtedly themselves. In all likelihood, the women inside were Oribabena, who had fought with her more than half a month ago. Then, judging from his understanding of the women in 9 Snake Island, as a transmigrator, the current situation of Oribabena is probably self-evident. Should I go in and meet her, or just flash people? Speaking of 9 snakes, I think of Hancock in the original book. As for myself, although I'm not so anxious to think about women every day, but I traveled through the world of pirates, and there were 2 beauties from the original book, and I still wanted to see them, even take a dip. One is Nicole. Robin, this is the little goddess in my heart. The other is Boya Hancock. So I made a pact with Whitebeard after crusade against West, and if I got flower fruit and sweet fruit, I would give it to myself. Now, this is a good opportunity to establish a certain relationship with 9 snakes. But Aurora Babena isn't Hancock. Just thinking about it, at this moment, the door of the wooden house suddenly opened. Then, at the door, a middle-aged woman looked at Sha Luo outside. It turned out to be the Thunder Eater Sha Luo. I said, "How does it feel to shield your personal breath so well?" The middle-aged woman said, "Since you're here, why don't you come in and sit?" Hearing the middle-aged woman's words, Sha Luo couldn't help but sigh. "If you find it, you just have to go in and have a look." Sha Luo dodged and went outside the house. "If you guessed correctly, the person in the room is someone who once fought with me, right?" Sha Luo said. Hoo. Kong Kwang. Clang. Wow. Before he could finish his words, inside the room, only a series of knocked bottles and water basins could be heard, and a large amount of water was spilled on the floor of the room, as if some rash maid was showing off her power in the room. Lord Snake Princess. Then came the surprised voices of the 2 women earlier. Then, the light and shadow in the room flickered, and a familiar blue figure appeared in the room, facing Sha Luo. The Emperor of the 9 Snakes, the Blue Enchantress, Aurora Babena. However, unlike the last time I saw her, now she has lost a whole lot of weight in just over half a month, and her dark blue hair is a little messy. "It looks like I'm a little embarrassed this time," Sha Luo sighed leisurely. Hearing this, Aurora Babena quickly brushed the messy strands of hair on the side of her face. "Ahem. Major Marine Sha Luo, you. Are you here to arrest me?" "Arrest you?" Sha Luo smiled helplessly. "Don't worry, I'm just walking around. I haven't solved a lot of my own problems yet, so how can I care about others?" "You. What's the problem with you?" Hearing him say this, Aurora Babena said with concern.
"It's very simple to say," Sha Luo said. "Yesterday afternoon, Sha Luo, who publicly declared that I was her husband, Lin, killed the world aristocrat Tianlong people on Baloney Island. This account is still being paid. Counting it on my head. Add to that last account, and I, Major Marine, will be lucky enough not to become a wanted criminal in a few days."
Hearing his words, Aurora Babena was slightly silent. The so-called last time account undoubtedly refers to the release of the 9 snake pirates and slaves on Linai Island more than half a month ago, and the destruction of the human trafficker gang subordinate to the Tianlong people. Then, if you become a wanted criminal, where do you plan to go? Aurora Babena said. This. Sha Luo thought for a while. I haven't thought about it yet. If you want to, as the Emperor of Amazon Lily, it's not impossible for you to come to our 9 Snake Island, Aurora Babena said immediately. What? Hearing this, Sha Luo was a little speechless. Is this an invitation? If you want me to go, just say it directly, you have to do something arrogant. However, 9 Snake Island. Sha Luo suddenly remembered an idiom. Cunning Rabbit 3 Caves. Speaking of which, 9 Snake Island is located in the Calm Belt. In this era, Marine has not yet invented a way to use seastone to allow marine warships to pass through the Calm Belt, so no matter how much trouble Aurora Babena makes, Marine has nothing to do with 9 Snake Island. Can't even threaten her like Hancock in the original book. This status quo, at least in the next 15 years, will not change. The style of 9 Snake Island itself is closed to the outside world, and it can also ensure that all kinds of news will not be spread. Plus the island is full of women. Maybe, as one of the future backup places for his wife and daughters? After all, when you enter 9 Snake Island, you don't have to be a pirate, it's not bad to be an ordinary resident. In this way, at least safety can be guaranteed, and it is much more reliable than staying in the marine or relocating to other islands. You can try it. 9 Snake Island. Thinking of this, Sha Luo immediately pretended to think, it seems very good. However, I am actually more concerned about reputation and so on, so I have never wanted to be a thief. Then from today, I won't be a pirate anymore, Aurora Babena said loudly without thinking. What? Hearing her words, everyone around was stunned. Lord Snake? The woman in Kai and the woman with blonde hair exclaimed in disbelief at the same time. F*K. At the same time, Sha Luo was also speechless. I didn't mean this. What I mean is, if my wife and daughter go to 9 Snake Island, they will only be ordinary residents, without saying what you want to be. Then what do you want to be? Sha Luo looked at Aurora Babena and asked. You, what do you want to be? Aurora Babena said. Speaking of which, there are little stars in my eyes, and a little girl like spring, light. I'll be what? Nana. Next to him, even the middle-aged woman, Gu Loliosa, the former emperor of Nine Snake Island, could not help but whisper. But at this time, there was no one else in Oribabena's eyes, and no other words could be heard in her ears. Looking at her expression, Sha Luo was speechless again. Your sister. This gesture was printed in the same mold as Boya Hancock, the later female emperor in the original book. But it's impossible, right? According to the original book, she should be one of the two emperors who died of lovesickness before Hancock, and since she died because of lovesickness, she must not be able to be with the man she liked. How could it be possible to give birth to Hancock? But, just ask. Sha Luo's mind moved. Immediately, he looked at Oribabena. Speaking of which, when I was outside just now, I heard you talk about things like children. Sha Luo said solemnly. I suddenly want to ask, if you have a daughter, what kind of name do you want to give her? I have a daughter. What's a good name? Hearing his words, Aurora Babena was startled. Then, a red glow appeared on his face. This. Is it thinking of a name for our future children? Puff. Hearing her words, Sha Luo almost spat out a mouthful of old blood. This is a very fast and wonderful brain circuit. Nana. Lord Snake Princess. Next to him, Gu Loliosa and the two Nine Snake Warriors again whispered silently. All in all, let's talk about it. Sha Luo said, I heard that women all know names, so I want to see what your name looks like. A name for our child. Aurora Babena has directly entered the plot, and she stammered and talked about it. In this case, female, daughter. Let's call it Hancock. I don't know what your surname is, or what kind of surname would you like to add? Zha. Hearing this, Sha Luo immediately raised her hand and patted her forehead. Really, this guy? That's right. The person standing in front of Sha Luo at this moment seems to be the mother of the Empress Boya Hancock in the original novel. As for her who died of lovesickness in the original book and how she gave birth to the three Hancock sisters, it is not convenient to ask more for the time being. The problem now is that she's obviously completely in love with herself, and almost died of lovesickness because of herself. So, am I going to accept her to be Hancock's dad? Your sister. When I first learned that I had traveled to the world of One Piece, I also imagined it well, and then I got the little goddess Robin and the Queen Hancock. Others are not too greedy. These two hugging left and right are definitely very comfortable. In addition, when he and Whitebeard defeated West later, he also told Whitebeard that if he found flower fruit and sweet fruit, he would give it to himself, and then take it for his cute daughter to eat. Did MD really get it right? Boya. Hancock, do you really want to become his cute daughter? Sha Luo patted her forehead with a sore face. It is impossible to kick Aurora Babena out and send the girl. The reason is very simple. A woman who likes herself and says, whatever you do, I will do it, as a man. How can he kick her out ruthlessly? Even in the original book, he left Dove for himself. Shizi, and other bad impressions of Charlotte Linlin. After learning that she had been looking for him for more than 10 years, Sha Luo couldn't just sit back and ignore it. What's more, since Aurora Babena already has of herself in her heart, it is impossible to fall in love with others. Even if she was kicked out, she would only die of lovesickness. How could she possibly meet the man she liked in the original book and give birth to Hancock? So, at this moment, what Sha Luo faced was simply a choice with no other options. Or honestly give birth to Hancock with Aurora Babena. Or maybe Hancock is wiped out and the soul continues to exist in the void, not knowing when it will be born elsewhere. Your sister. This is the so-called butterfly effect of the transmigrators. I gave myself a pit. Of course, Aurora Babena herself is actually very beautiful and cute, so it's not a loss to get her. The title of Demon Girl is not something that came out of nothing. It is different from Charlotte Linlin, who was not very impressed in the original work. However, when I think of the Empress who still wanted to take a dip in the past, she may become her own daughter in the future. What's wrong? Is this name ugly? Seeing Sha Luo pressing her forehead with a sore face, Aurora Babena immediately said, if this name doesn't work, then how about Sandersonia? Or you can name it and everything is yours. No, nothing. This name is very good. Sha Luo put down her arms, forced a smile and said, I'm just feeling that women's ability to name names is really better than me, like I can only name snow, ice, or something. My daughter's name was given by my wife. What should be faced must be faced, so Sha Luo simply told the matter that he has a wife and a daughter. After all, it is possible that Aurora Babena will contact them. Let's take a look now Aurora Babena's reaction. Husband, madam. Hearing his words, Aurora Babena's heart sank, but she quickly recovered and said reluctantly, "It's the female swordsman who acted with you last time, and which other woman well, I've heard of. That's what I inquired about recently. Beside," Gloriosa interjected casually, "so I will definitely get along well with them." She hadn't finished speaking, but before meeting, Oribabena, who was a little reluctant just now, suddenly blushed again and said eagerly, "What?" Everyone was speechless at the same time. Lord Snake Princess. Beside them, the two female warriors whispered in shock. Speaking of which, when did she feel like she had become the wife of the man in front of her? She jumped directly to the topic of how to get along with other ladies. Just because you named the two's daughter just now? That's obviously a plot she made up by herself, right? Sha Luo had a black line on her face. Sure enough, if there is a mother, there must be a daughter. However, in this way, it would save trouble. If you really send Lisa, Tia, Gion, and Hina to Nine Snake Island in the future, you don't have to worry about their relationship. Just thinking about Hancock becoming a daughter is still a bit of a pain in the ass. No, you have to give me a little time to adjust my mood and get used to it. That's good. Sha Luo said angrily. Having said that, I looked at Oribabena, who was still a little weak despite her blushing face. Speaking of which, you seem to be sick. No. No sickness. No sickness at all. Aurora Babena thought without hesitation, if you need any help, you can let me know at any time. Nana, just say it straight. Beside, Gloriosa said. To be honest, she fell ill just because she had been thinking about you since that day. Simply put, lovesick. Where? Hearing the words, Aurora Bena blushed suddenly. Don't be blunt, but you'll miss your chance, Gloriosa said. Is that so? Aurora Babena said. After speaking, he looked at Sha Luo across from him. Then, please marry me. Hearing her words, everyone was stunned again. It is for you to admit that you like him, not for you to force marriage directly. This brain circuit is too jumpy. Marriage or something. A little sudden. Sha Luo said angrily. Actually, the truth is that he made himself Hancock's father, which is a bit unexpected. Or else, I'll give you a photo first as a token, and then, if we have a chance to date again? Okay. Hearing this, Aurora Babena responded immediately. Sha Luo immediately took out a previously taken photo. Then he handed it to Oribabena, and said in his mouth, this photo, don't leak it yet. No problem. I will regard this photo as a treasure. Aurora Babena took the photo, immediately clenched her hands, looked excitedly in front of her eyes, and then blushed. I will take it with me when I eat, bathe, sleep, and so on. With it, you will never leave. Ah hey. Hearing her words, in an instant, everyone didn't know what to do. Anyway, it was not the first time that she had such a speechless performance today. The photo has been given to Oribabena. She should not die of lovesickness for a while. After all, it was the photo she gave by herself. Then next. Thinking of what she was doing when she met Oribabena last time, Sha Luo suddenly moved in her heart and thought of something. Hancock. Sha Luo said immediately, and halfway through speaking, he realized that he had accidentally called the wrong name. Oh no, Aurora Babena. Have you started calling the child's name? Aurora Babena looked happy. Then, there was another charming little girl, but they haven't given birth yet. Puff. Sha Luo almost sprayed blood. Shit. Even though this guy is very different from the later female emperor in the original book, the hair color and clothing color are quite different, and the appearance is also quite different, but the same Cheongsam outfit and the same idiotic look make people involuntarily call the wrong name. And her reaction was exactly the same as her future daughter. Fortunately, the name was directly misunderstood by her wishful thinking that Sha Luo was calling her future daughter's name. Otherwise, there is really no explanation. Oribabena, speaking of which, I actually saw that you attacked the human trafficker ship pretending to be a merchant ship last time, and you were also righteous. She secretly suppressed the various complaints in her heart, and Sha Luo took a small breath. To get back to the point. That's because they actually wanted to capture women and enslave them at will. Aurora Babena thought of those people, and curled her lips in annoyance. I'm also a woman, but I won't watch it, and I won't let it go. Those men. Since that's the case, why don't you go down this road to the end without taking the name of a thief? Sha Luo said. You don't need to be called a thief. Upon hearing this, Aurora Babena repeated, both puzzled and concerned. Then what is the name to be called? This. Sha Luo pondered slightly. He originally meant to say the Revolutionary Army. However, not to mention the sudden jump from the pirates who are mainly fighting and killing to the revolutionary cause, that sounds lofty. This seems a bit too abrupt, and the Revolutionary Army has not yet been formed. so it is impossible to let Oropa Bena suddenly jumped out and pulled the hatred of the world government, which completely deceived her. But, speaking of which, isn't her act of robbing people from human traffickers a bit similar to the knights in the martial arts novels she'd read before? Seeing the injustice on the road, draw a knife to get along. Even if all this is just because of being the same woman, because of the pride of being the eldest sister. Suddenly I thought of the MA faction in martial arts. Yup. That's it. Thinking about my previous reading of martial arts novels, they were also fighting and killing. Their reputations sounded more high-end and high-end, such as the Shaolin Wudang Beggar Gang MA. There are organizations and scales, but ordinary people not only will not be afraid of them, but also regard them as the incarnation of chivalry and even the savior. The hero is famous. Even if there is nothing to kill a corrupt official or something, the people also praise them for acting for the heavens. But in this One Piece world, if you come out and kill a Tianlong person, not to mention killing a Tianlong person, even if it is just to rescue the slaves enslaved by the Tianlong people, or beat the dogs of the Tianlong people, and then run away, the government will immediately use the C wanted as a thief. Then I had to break the jar and officially fall into the grass and become a thief. In other words, what I did was not evil, so why should the government force me to label me a thief? Can't you make yourself a hat? Justice sometimes requires packaging. And how to define and distinguish between good and evil, it is not necessary that everything is in the hands of the other party. Shaw. How about the 9 snakes and sea knights? Sha Luo immediately said to Orobabena. Hi Sha troop. After hearing this, Olabebena's eyes suddenly lit up. It is worthy of being called Master Sha Luo. This name sounds more comfortable. However, after putting on such a name, you have to act accordingly. Sha Luo said, otherwise, it's just smearing it. If we use martial arts as an analogy, 9 Snake Island, or is the 9 Snake Gang and 9 Snake Sect the first Wulan sect in this sea? Just like in martial arts novels, some pirates can actually call themselves knights or explorers, instead of honestly accepting the big devil hat that the government has put on, just as there are decency and magic in martial arts. Of course, some decent are not decent, and some demons are not so demonic either. But at least, all this will no longer be controlled by the world government, and justice will no longer be controlled and monopolized by just one party. And once the monopoly of justice is interrupted, what will happen to the whole world? Good and evil will be redefined. Marijoy will no longer force the top 1 point of justice. At that time, what more, 7 warlords of the sea? 6 major factions besieged Bright Summit, 6 major factions attacked Marijoy's? Of course, just like in martial arts novels, just relying on a few people from the martial arts school, even if they are highly skilled, is still not enough to promote a dynasty change. Therefore, the regular army, the revolutionary army, will still be necessary at that time. Sha Luo's eyes moved, and suddenly, she seemed to have seen a large scene. The revolutionary army formed a regular army, and the 4 seas in the south, north and west, as well as the Grand Line in the New World, the major sea hero groups, such as Dotted, once they did something, they would rise up and call. The world will be shocked. Kind of interesting. Although this is a bit difficult, and there are a lot of details to consider. However, if you can make such a scene, change the pattern of the whole world, and define a new existence, it will not be a waste of time. And now, the change of the 9 snake pirates may be the first step. And it won't be the last step. In addition to the 9 snake pirates, there should be many forces in this world that can make changes, or force them to make changes. Whitebeard is an old friend of his own, so give it a try. However, he has a certain arrogance and has his own ideas, and the result is unknown at that time. Charlotte Linlands have their own children, you can try it too. In addition, there is the Fishmen Island in the original book, they long for equality and a new world, and they can also win over. Murlocs still have good strength at sea, and most importantly they have Poseidon. In addition, there are 1 person, 1 gang, Eagle Eyes, and there is no need to be Shichibukai, create your own martial art and become 7 martial arts. Then add some other characters that may emerge. In this sea, the world government will no longer define everything, define good and evil. Sha Luo felt happy in her heart, and even felt a sense of relief. In a sense, Zephyr has been attracting himself, perhaps it is really like things. Because, no matter how he understands the principle of the strong eat the weak, and even heard that people do not kill themselves for their own sake, his heart, after all, is made of flesh and blood, with feelings and longings. Like Zephyr, it actually has certain heroic dream, or chivalrous dream. Just as her daughter likes to see her father as a big hero, not a big villain. Therefore, he was once affected by this, and he did not want to bear the name of a thief. But now, whether it is a thief, or a hero, whether it is evil or good, everything will be better distinguished. Right justice yourself and lead justice. This even made the blood he originally planned to mix time start to heat up again. Then, what am I going to do? Aurora Babena continued in front of him when he quickly showed a grand chart in his heart and began to feel warm because of it. Hearing Aurora Babena's question, Sha Luo pondered slightly. It would be great if there were martial arts novels, and you would understand at a glance. Simply put, if you want to rob the wicked, it's not a chivalrous thing to bully the weak. Sha Luo thought for a while and said, like what you did last time, even if it's just for yourself, it's something to be proud of. Really? Hearing his last words, Aurora Bina blushed. Okay. I understand. After I go back, I will immediately transform the 9 snake pirates. Oh no, the 9 snake pirates. Beside, Gloriosa and the 2 female warriors were speechless at the same time. Still, it doesn't seem to hurt to think about it. Is the first to jump out a little bit of hatred. But for Aurababena, who had already drawn a lot of hatred, it was nothing. Come out to mix, who is afraid of so much? Sha Luo, you actually have more and bigger ideas. Gloriosa looked at Sha Luo and said. It's just an idea. Sha Luo didn't deny it, but smiled and said, then, I'll go back first. After I've made my name, well, maybe come to see you. Next time we meet, adjust your mood, and then, get Hancock out. Really? Hearing his words, Aurora Babena didn't know the words in his heart, but she still had a look of joy and anticipation. Sha Luo smiled again, and then prepared to leave. Call. At this time, a gunshot could be heard from somewhere on the island. Sha Luo frowned slightly. What's the matter? Hearing the gunshots coming from the island, Sha Luo couldn't help but frown. Then, looking at Aurababena, Gloriosa and others, he said, then, I'll leave first. By the way, do you know how to come to the 9 Snakes Island? Aurora Babena said, or, when the time comes, I will send someone to pick you up. If I want to come, Combelt can't stop me. Sha Luo thought for a while, and simply Kaido, if you want to find me, you can definitely find out my whereabouts. What? Hearing his words, Aurora Babena suddenly groaned as if she was about to enter a high chow. Yes. The next moment, he replied with a blushing face. Come as you want. Combelt can't stop him. What a handsome man. Aurora Babena looked intoxicated. And Sha Luo, at this time, didn't have the time to continue talking nonsense with her, and quickly walked away. Then, quickly rushed towards the direction from which the sound came from. He had a peculiar hunch. I always felt that the gunshot just now meant something important, as if the gears of fate had begun to turn fatefully. Sha Luo walked quickly, and soon came to the approximate place where the sound came from. At this time, I saw a bunch of people kneeling on both sides of the road on the street ahead. And in the middle of the road, a child about 5 or 6 years old fell in a pool of blood at this time. A young woman pounced on him at this moment, cried out eagerly, child, child. In front of the two, a fat man wearing a bubble mask, a world aristocrat, a Tianlong person, at this time, holding a gun in one hand and picking his nostrils in the other, looking at the mother and son in front of him as if mentally retarded. Is he your son? Tianlong said humanely. My lord, he accidentally bumped into you. The young woman pleaded loudly, please let him go. Let me rush him to the hospital. Let him go. Hearing this, the Tianlong people snorted coldly. How dare you run wild in front of the descendants of the Creator, such a pariah, it's useless to live. I just missed it, then. Saying that, he aimed the gold-plated pistol in his hand at the head of the 5 or 6-year-old child in front of him again. Sir, spare your life. The young woman immediately used her body to block the child with all her might, blocking the direction pointed by the muzzle of the Tianlong people, and at the same time pleaded loudly. And the Tianlong people, without a doubt, were obviously unmoved by it. After all, in their opinion, except for their nobles, all these commoners are no different from pigs and dogs. Pigs and dogs dare to collide with their masters, so apart from killing them, do they have to let them go? Damn rubbish. Seeing this, Sha Luo, who had just arrived, couldn't help but scold it inwardly. Get ready now. And many more. But at this time, only one woman could be heard, who suddenly shouted loudly. Hearing the woman's shout, the Tianlongren paused and looked at the woman. I saw that the woman was about 35 or 6 years old, with brown hair, hugging a boy who was not even a year old. She was kneeling nearby. At this time, she got up and walked over quickly. Zha. Seeing the woman, Sha Luo's brows moved involuntarily. Who are you? Who dares to shout loudly and stand up in front of me? Tianlong said, very unhappy. This child, he is completely unintentional. Even if there is something wrong, just teach him a lesson. The tea-haired woman said, do you really want to kill him directly? Huh. Hearing this, the Tianlong people frowned. Who do I want to kill? How dare you, a pariah, come out and give pointers? It's not pointing, the tea-haired woman said. It's just that, just because of this, killing a child directly, even a world aristocrat. Is it too much? What? An angry expression on the face of the Tianlong people. How dare you teach me? Then kill you all too. Let you know the authority of God. Seeing this, the tea-haired woman was shocked and angry. At the same time, like the young woman, she instinctively protected the boy in her arms with her body. Wait. Saint Leander. At this time, a group of Marine soldiers suddenly ran over, and the leading officer shouted loudly, please don't shoot. This woman, she is Marine Admiral Zephyr's wife. Calm down, calm down. Hearing the officer's words, Leander frowned deeply. Marine Admiral. Miscellaneous? The officer ran over and corrected himself. Regardless of whether he's a messenger or Zephyr, Leander said dissatisfiedly, how dare the wife of a mere servant come out and teach me a lesson? But no matter what, her husband is also loyal to you, my lord. You. Lord, can you be merciful and give him a little face? Ah. The officer pleaded. Hearing this, Leander frowned again. Afterwards, although he had always been, he knew what the role of Marine Admiral was, he snorted disdainfully, and lowered his muzzle. Humph. Just some servants. Leander said. After speaking, he looked at the young woman earlier with an unhappy look. Speaking of which, this woman has a good posture, Leander said. Hearing this, the young woman was shocked. Sir, your son bumped into me. Then it's up to you to atone and serve me for 2 days, Leander said. After speaking, he couldn't resist, and looked at the two servants with fierce faces behind him. Take her back. Yes. The two responded in unison. Immediately, he stepped forward and prepared to forcibly drag the woman away. Wait. The woman exclaimed anxiously. But at this moment, an invisible pressure suddenly appeared around. The Tianlong people couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts. As chilling as he was, there were everyone around, including Marine. Plop. 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 The next moment, everyone fell one after another. Ziz. Ziz. At the same time, around, some arcs flickered faintly. In the entire venue, only 2 people remained awake. The tea-haired woman, and the little boy under the age of 1 who didn't understand anything in her arms. Looking at the situation of other people around, the tea-haired woman couldn't help but look surprised. At this time, a figure quickly flashed in front of her. The tea-haired woman's face was startled again. Sha Luo, is it you? It was undoubtedly Sha Luo who suddenly flashed in front of the tea-haired woman. Yeah. Sha Luo responded. Then he looked around, and continued, Sister-in-law, it is not advisable to stay here for a long time, leave first. The tea-haired woman is Regina, who has been pursuing Zephyr for many years since she was a child, and then finally officially married Zephyr a few years ago. Okay. After hearing Sha Luo's words, Regina also understood the consequences of colliding with the Tianlong people, and responded. Then he looked at the young woman next to him and the little boy who was shot. I'll send them to a place where they can be healed, Sha Luo said. You leave first and wait for me at Area 65 near the port. Okay. Regina said, you should also be careful not to be noticed. After the two finished speaking, Regina immediately left with her son Valiant. And Sha Luo stretched out her hands and hugged the stunned young woman and the injured boy from left to right. Then, the figure flashed, and quickly went to the 17th area. Soon, Lord Sha Luo. You're back so soon. Seeing Sha Luo leaving and returning, Aurora Babena couldn't help but look happy, and then she was surprised. Are they 2 mothers and sons who were almost trapped by the so-called world aristocrats? Sha Luo said. The gunshot just now is because of this. Are those people called the biggest trash in the world again? Aurora Babena frowned and said. That's right. Sha Luo said, one day, they will fall off the altar. But now, can this child be healed? Said and looked at the injured little boy. Don't worry. Beside him, Gloriosa said, I still have some medical skills. What about this woman? I'm stunned. I'll wake up on my own in a while. Sha Luo said. Okay. I have to return immediately and meet people, and they will be handed over to you. No problem, Gloriosa said. By the way, when the time comes, don't tell them that I saved them. Sha Luo said again. Ah hey. Hearing his words, Aurora Babena immediately became intoxicated. Saving people without expecting anything in return, it really is Lord Sha Luo. No. Sha Luo said angrily, I just don't want to be targeted by the Tianlong people right now. So frank, as expected of Mr. Sha Luo, Aurora Babena blushed again, and even said with adoration. What? Sha Luo was speechless. Holy crap, could it be that the super beautifying halo on my body has not disappeared, and today I suddenly became angry, and this guy was also recruited? His looks, frowns, smiles, and any actions are simply super beautified. Of course, this is purely just ranting. Okay, I'll go back first. Sha Luo said, looking at Aurora Babena, who was blushing, and Gloriosa and the two female warriors who were also speechless next to her. Immediately, no more words, and quickly left. On the way, I passed the place where the Dragon Man was just now. I saw the Tianlong people still fell to the ground at this time, like a dead pig. A bunch of rubbish. Sha Luo thought to himself, I won't do anything to any of you now, but sooner or later, I will directly destroy your foundation, pull all of you down from the altar, and make you change. Become a commoner, and experience the life of the commoners, and the anger of the people is 100 times more enjoyable than killing you directly. Just look forward to it. After speaking, he walked away. At the same time, a thought moved in his heart. In other words, it's not a big deal for Regina to openly contradict the Tianlong people. After all, Regina has honestly knelt on the side of the road before, and didn't beat the Tianlong people, and even her tone was more restrained. If it wasn't true I couldn't bear to see the young woman who was a mother like myself lose her beloved son. She wouldn't even be strong, so it didn't seem to have any major consequences. She is not a reckless woman. However, this kind of thing, if it is small, I am afraid it is not small. One is that the Tianlong people are used to being intimidating, and their air volume is not generally small, and the other is that the pillow people of Marine Admiral are dissatisfied with the Tianlong people. Will this kind of thing be deliberately interpreted seriously? After all, from the government's point of view, if the wife of an important general under your command expresses her dissatisfaction with someone by his pillow every day, who can guarantee that the general will not be shaken by this? Even Sha Luo, if she wants to dig Zephyr, maybe she can go through Regina's line and let her blow air more by her pillow. After all, Regina is already really disgusted with Tianlong people. In addition, if I hadn't crossed over and I hadn't appeared just now, would the conflict between Regina and Tianlongren continue to expand? And ultimately lead to the upper people not being able to leave this hidden danger beside Zephyr's pillow? And then, that obscure event in the original. But now, even though he traveled through and solved everything by himself, the matter of Tianlong being brought down is still no small matter. She was not discovered by anyone, but Regina had previously clashed with the Tianlong people, but there was a famous person, and even the incident when the Tianlong people were brought down may be suspected to be someone who was hiding around Regina. In this way, even though it was good intentions to take action, the possibility of Regina being targeted is even greater. All of this has made Regina's safety an almost imminent matter. Of course, the idea of phishing law enforcement has gradually become a real possibility. So, how on earth do I have to establish a connection with Regina that can use the husband and wife heart, so that she can arrive at the moment when she is at a critical moment? She is Zephyr's wife, she can't be husband and wife with her. Sha Luo pondered in her heart, and it didn't take long before she arrived at Area 65 near the port on the west side of Sabodi Archipelago. At this time, Regina was waiting there holding her son Valiant. At the same time, watching not far away, a man and a woman, 2 7 or 8-year-old children playing together. Seeing the child playing, Sha Luo's heart suddenly moved. The next moment, walked near Regina. Sha Luo, are you okay? Regina whispered. Well, it's okay. Sha Luo thought for a while and said, Sister-in-law, I have something I want to ask you. What's the matter? Regina asked. You quickly have a daughter with Zephyr Admiral, said Sha Luo, and marry her to me. What? Hearing Sha Luo's words, Regina couldn't help but be taken aback, and for a moment she thought she heard it wrong. Daughter. Regina said, what did you say? This. It's very simple. Sha Luo thought about it quickly. I see that my sister-in-law dared to come out just now to fight against the nobles of the world for the sake of a commoner mother and son. This arrogance is simply admirable, and she deserves to be Zephyr Admiral's wife. You're complimenting too much. Hearing this, Regina blushed and said, I don't dare to do anything more, I just can't bear it. But no matter what, this courage is still admirable, just like Zephyr Admiral. Sha Luo said, Sister-in-law, you are Zephyr Admiral's wife, I will not think about anything. But if I have a daughter, then I will be sure to grab her. But at that time you can be her father. Oh no, become a foster father. Regina pursed her lips slightly and said with a smile, and you already have 2 wives in your family, are you still not satisfied? Then sister-in-law, how old do you think I am now? Sha Luo said. You. Hearing this, Regina looked at it and was slightly puzzled, speaking of which, it is indeed a bit strange. Zephyr said that you and him had known each other 14 years ago, but after 14 years, you just 24 or 5 years old. Were you only 10 years old at the time? This is my innate ability. In short, it can be regarded as the ability similar to the devil fruit of the time system. Sha Luo casually edited it and said, anyway, I can live longer than the average person. Some of them age more slowly than them, and more importantly, this ability can also be used by my wife and daughters. In the face of longer life expectancy, the age gap between 20 and 30 years is nothing. Is that so? Regina asked in surprise, at the same time believing it to be true. So, if you give birth to a daughter, sister-in-law, just hand her over to me, and I can make her live longer. Sha Luo said, as for you and Zephyr Admiral, live well together until you are 100 years old, and then be safe in the ground. What are you talking about? Regina laughed, if you can live to be 80 or 90 years old, you will be satisfied. So, about the daughter, is it okay? Sha Luo said. I really don't know what you are thinking, Regina laughed. If you're not afraid of Lysadia and the 2 of them fighting, then it's up to you. If it's you, I don't think Zephyr will either. Very opposed. He has been very optimistic about you for a long time, and he wanted to do everything possible to tie you to Marine. Backquote. So, that's it, Sha Luo said. Regina said. Sha Luo let out a sigh of relief. The ability of husband and wife concentric cannot be used on Regina. But what if Regina was carried with her future wife in her belly? Maybe make this ability so it works. By the way, ask the system. Sha Luo immediately focused and opened the system interface secretly. Then find the ability of couples concentric. At the end of the ability, there is the word help, which can briefly explain and assist some of the Easter egg abilities obtained from the Easter egg system. Display the current effective object of this ability. Ding. The current list of valid objects for this ability. Charlotte Linlin. In non-combat, combat readiness state, due to strong strength and large size, the summoning is limited, and the summoning cannot be performed as a couple. Please narrow the size gap between the 2 parties, non-dangerous state, unable to teleport to the vicinity of the other party. Lisa. In non-combat, ready state, can be summoned freely, in non-dangerous state, cannot be teleported to the vicinity of the opponent. Tia. In non-combat, ready state, can be summoned freely, in non-dangerous state, cannot be teleported to the vicinity of the opponent. Unnamed. Special state, cannot be forced to summon, non-dangerous state, cannot be teleported to the vicinity of the opponent. It really works. Just like Charlotte Linlin chases after himself, even if the 2 have never had that aspect relationship at all, and even the 2 sides have never even touched hands, but this does not affect Charlotte Linlin is counted as his own lady. Whether there has ever been a husband-wife affair comes second, as long as there is a marriage contract, or a marriage contract that has been forcibly identified by the system. This time, it's okay. Whether the unnamed wife has not been conceived, or has not been born, or is held by Regina inseparably after giving birth, at least, when she is 2 or 3 years old, can occasionally before running away, or, in the next 3 years, once Regina encounters a crisis, then the unnamed wife will definitely encounter a crisis. In this case, you can instantly arrive. Of course, he doesn't really have to marry a girl who has never met and who doesn't know when he will be born. By the way, you don't lack that woman at all, do you? At that time, just find an excuse and cancel this marriage contract with a huge age gap. And in addition, in other words, Charlotte Linlin and himself, because of their strength and size, their summoning is limited, and they cannot be summoned to engage in husband and wife behavior. Please narrow the gap between the size of the 2, what the hell are they? System. Don't you mean to say, hurry up to narrow the gap in size, and then summon it to have sex directly? Sha Luo suddenly discovered that the system was unexpectedly dirty. However, that kind of thing, I don't have the time to complain slowly now. After successfully establishing an indirect connection with Regina, Sha Luo finally felt relieved. Then, in order not to attract unnecessary attention, Regina was allowed to return to Marineford first. Then, he swayed around again, and after half an hour, he took the ladder boat and slowly returned. The same moment. Holy Land, Marie Joyce. The world's highest power, the 5 elders, looked at the report in front of him and frowned. Zephyr's wife openly contradicted the world's aristocracy and expressed strong dissatisfaction with it. And then, a mysterious force appeared at the scene, causing her and another pair of mother and son at the center of the incident to disappear mysteriously. This is not something that can be ignored. Wearing a black suit, with curly white hair, and wearing Peng Song's white beard, the 5 elders' armor said in a deep voice. Marine Admiral is surrounded by an important person who is dissatisfied with the world's aristocracy and even the existing system. This is indeed like a bomb that may explode at any time. Wearing a dark blue suit, 5 with straight white hair and a long beard. Elders B said equally deeply. Zephyr is still very young. In the next 3 decades, his abilities will be very important for Marine and for world government. If he has other intentions because of this, it will be for the power of justice, and the facade of the government. It's not a small loss. 5 elders C with blonde hair in a crimson suit and no bow tie said slowly. Furthermore, to be able to take the whole body and retreat quietly, the power behind this Lady Zephyr should not be underestimated. Wearing a dark green suit with a splayed beard, shaved 5 elders Dingdao with a Madara birthmark on his forehead. It is a hidden danger, and it should be eliminated. The 5 elders said, Justice's authority cannot be shaken. Compared with a Marine Admiral, the others are not a concern. With Zephyr's status, he wants to marry another wife and have children. Is not difficult. The wife can marry as many as she wants, but this one is a problem. However, the power behind that woman should not be underestimated, said 5 elders B. Also, the incident that contradicted the nobles of the world just happened, and the accident happened soon after. It is difficult for people to doubt it. In this case, it's better to wait for a while. But it can't be delayed for too long. 5 elders C said, when the time comes, see the opportunity and clean it up without leaving any traces. As for the crime, leave it to the appropriate pirates. 5 elders Ding said meaningfully. Same feeling. The 5 quickly reached a consensus. At the same time as the 5 elders made a secret agreement, on the other side, Sha Luo took a boat and returned to Marineford unhurriedly. Then, went back to his home. In the house, Lazadia was still painting with her 2 daughters. Dad is back. Gion and Hina were excited to see Sha Luo come back. Although Sha Luo only went out for an hour or 2. Oh, Gion, Hina, they all look good, Sha Luo laughed. Dad, look, I drew a hero picture, Gion said loudly. Oh? Hearing this, Sha Luo walked over, let me see. I saw on the drawing paper in front of Gion, a man who looked like Sha Luo was fighting majestically with a human figure that looked like a woman. Among them, the men are tall and mighty, and the women are thin and weak, and the height difference between the 2 is double. Seeing this, Sha Luo couldn't help but be dumbfounded. Children do not know how to express professionally, so in her paintings, she can only use the height that people look up to describe the hero's breathtaking momentum. This is also the image of Sha Luo in her mind. Gion said. This is Dad's victory over that female pirate. Oribabena. Beside, Lisa added with a smile. Well, yes, it's the picture of Dad winning the female pirate Oribabena. Gion wrote. Is that so? Sha Luo was a little speechless. This female pirate Oribabena, maybe she will become your aunt in the future. But Mom said that Oribabena isn't a very bad person, is she? Gion said again. Yeah. Hearing this, Sha Luo nodded. Then why is she still a big pirate in the newspaper? Gion said. Why does the newspaper say she is a big bad person? This. Sha Luo was at a loss for words. The world government holds the monopoly of justice, so those who oppose them will naturally become pirates and villains forcibly. This kind of truth, even I was completely clear not long ago. You want to understand, I am afraid it is still a little early? Still, it's nice to have questions. Sure enough, it's my daughter. Although the soul is still the future beauty Momosagi in the original book, but when she became my daughter, she must have been naturally influenced by me, right? You don't quite understand it yet. When you grow up, you will understand. Sha Luo touched Momosagi. Oh no, Gion's head, and smiled. Oh. Gion had some anticipation, but he still humbly responded. Sha Luo looked at the 2 ladies next to her again and remembered the previous incident. By the way, Lisa, Tia, what did you 2 just do? Sha Luo asked. What did you do? Hearing this, Lisa's face moved slightly. There is nothing special. Boom blah blah. Boom blah blah blah. Just as he said this, the voice of the phone bug rang. Lisa and Tia looked at each other. Then, Lisa walked over and answered the phone. On the other end of the phone, a middle-aged woman's voice came. Lisa, Tia, what are you two doing? Resigned together? Yeah, Crane Vice Admiral. Lisa said, we didn't take good care of our husband and let him have a relationship with Pirate Che unintentionally, which triggered this incident, so we asked to resign or be demoted together. Hearing her words, Sha Luo couldn't help but move. The two of them, like themselves, submitted their resignations together, relinquishing the rank they had earned from years of working in the Marine. No wonder the previous system would suddenly pop up such prompts and trigger such Easter eggs. No need. On the other end of the phone, Crane Vice Admiral's voice was very unpleasant, and at the same time he couldn't refuse. You two, since the children are still young, let's take a vacation in Marineford first, don't think too much. Wait for the children to grow up. When you are older, go back to the team I led and continue to serve. But, Lisa said. Okay, that's it, said Crane Vice Admiral. Immediately, hung up the phone. Lisa was speechless. Then, he had no choice but to hang up the phone. Lisa, Tia, you two, resign together. Sha Luo said with emotion. Where Mom says Dad is going, we'll go wherever, Guillaume said. Well, I can't let Dad worry, Hina said. Hearing the words of the two, Sha Luo couldn't help but be moved again. You guys support me so unconditionally, making my idea of fishing law enforcement feel a little embarrassed to implement. However, unconditional support and knowing the truth are not the same thing. When you go, you have to go clearly, at least don't let your daughters be puzzled. It's okay. Sha Luo smiled and said, I'm just going out for a while, and I'll be back soon. But you, be good at home. Sure, Dad. Guillaume and Hina answered with their heads held high. That night, Zephyr personally brought the relevant notice. According to Zephyr's request, the headquarters has demoted Sha Luo from the headquarters major to the branch major, although this position does not matter to him at all. Then, the next step is to transfer to the South Blue 137 branch. This time it was really thrown a long way. Because, in this era, Marine has not invented the method of using seastone to let Marine warships pass through the comm belt, so, to go to the South Blue branch, you must first travel along the Red Line from the land road to a certain country in the south, and then go to the South Blue branch. The Marine base there was changed to a warship. Vice versa. That's right. The sky is high and the Emperor is far away. It is easy for him, and he also gives some people opportunities up above to do it. So, that night, Sha Luo cleaned up a little. The next morning, we headed to Marineford Harbor. Then, I'm off. Guillaume, Hina, grow up at home. Dad, come back early. It is good. Sha Luo burst into laughter, and took a small group of soldiers and left by boat. The crowd first arrived at the Red Line. Then, head south. All the way without incident. A week later, we finally arrived at the seaside country in the south of the Red Line, the Kingdom of Cambia. At this time, in front of them, I saw a group of people with a large carriage. The carriage seemed to be loaded with something quite heavy, leaving two lines of obvious ruts on the road, heading east. The leader was a middle-aged man with a long black beard and a more conspicuous, extremely pointed top like a long cone. Seeing the man, Sha Luo couldn't help but be taken aback. At the same time, the middle-aged man also noticed Sha Luo and immediately frowned. The middle-aged man glanced at Sha Luo several times in a row, and a series of sounds that seemed surprised and delighted came out of his nose. You boy, is it? Master Qingzhao, he is the husband of that big mom, the man known as the Thunder Eater, Sha Luo. Behind, a man dressed in the style of the ancient celestial dynasty in the three-dimensional world, looked shocked. Said out loud. Ha ho 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 ho. Hearing this, the pointed man burst into laughter. Boy, finally let me meet you. Saying that, he approached step by step. Oh, on the opposite side, Sha Luo raised her brows. The 8 treasures of the land of flowers. Green pepper of the cone. I heard that you like to scavenge for treasures. What did you find this time? As he spoke, he looked at the apparently abnormal carriage. Ha ho 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 ho. The pointed man, who was the young Cone Ji Qingzhao at this time, suddenly laughed again when he heard Sha Luo's words. I did find something very rare. It's a big guy. It can't be cut with a knife, or a sword can't be pierced. There are all kinds of strange characters engraved on it. Maybe it's an ancient treasure map. I'm going to send it back to West Blue to find O'Hara's book readers for identification. What? You Marine. Do you want to check? Want to confiscate? Then see if you have that strength. As he said that, he frowned, and saw that the pointed top of his head had quickly turned into a pitch black color. Seeing that the green pepper didn't say a word, the armament hockey had been directly blessed with high strength on the top of his head and turned into a pitch black color. On the opposite side, Sha Luo couldn't help but be speechless for a while. How could this green pepper act like he has a deep hatred with him and has been looking for him for a long time? In addition, he just said that he had found a very rare thing, a big guy that can't be cut with a knife, can't be pierced by a sword, and there are all kinds of strange characters engraved on it. Is this? 12 years later in the original book, the source of the tragedy of O'Hara, the historical text stone stele kept on the island of O'Hara, it was you who did it. That's right. From the point of view of time, in the original book, the famous O'Hara slaughtering demon incident occurred in 1500 of the Haiyuan calendar, when Robin was 8 years old, and 6 years ago, when Robin was 2 years old, Nicole Olivia from O'Hara, Ya traveled around the world in search of other historical texts. Do the math. This time is 1494 years. In other words, in 1494, O'Hara Island finally made a breakthrough in the study of the historical text, and began to look for more text tablets. When it was much earlier than this time point, because there was no stone tablet to study, there were no major breakthroughs for many years. And now, it is October 1488 in the Haiyuan calendar. With green pepper's wealth-gathering personality, the stone tablet he found was obviously impossible to give to O'Hara for free. It would probably take O'Hara a lot of trouble to get the stele from him and then quietly transport it back. It took a few years to get the stele, and then 2 years of research and guesswork. This time is really right. And then, now this stele of the source of tragedy is on the carriage in front of you? Sha Luo was surprised. On the opposite side, after Qingzhao turned the top of his conical head into pitch black, he looked at Sha Luo and shouted loudly, "Boy, I've always wanted to meet you. I heard that you were able to meet you 8 years ago. The big pirate who dominated the New World played a trick, and a few months ago, defeated the woman called Blue Enchantress." That's right, Sha Luo said, it's me. It's a little embarrassing to be famous by accident. You don't have to be embarrassed. Green Pepper said loudly, because you will be defeated soon. Dare to pick me up. Okay. Since the other party took the initiative to come to the door, Sha Luo of course did not need to be polite, and answered loudly, I heard that Juji Qingzhao has an iron head skill and is extremely powerful, and the opportunity is rare. I will try it today. When you're done, take a deep breath. Pangolin, immortal state, armament hockey. The ability to strengthen the body's defense and its own strength is fully activated in an instant. Good boy, there is a seed. On the opposite side, Green Pepper said loudly, then I won't use Ba Chong Fist either. Eat me a cone. After speaking, he jumped, like a bullfighting bull whose speed and strength were infinitely strengthened, with his head in front, towards Sha Luo, rushing towards Sha Luo. You can come here, I can win. Sha Luo clenched her fists. Speaking of this, he shouted angrily, you win a fart. Kirin arm. After he finished speaking, he punched the Green Pepper's cone and punched it. Woo. The cone head and the iron fist collided head-on, and there was a sudden loud noise in the air. The strong air current spread to the surroundings in an instant, and in an instant, a strong wind blew the 8 treasures marines behind Green Pepper and the marines behind Sha Luo. Many people staggered involuntarily. Then, at the point where the head and the fist meet, like an iron tool rubbing against the ground, an ear-piercing dull sound is continuously heard. Master Green Pepper. Major Sha Luo. On both sides, Green Pepper's 8 treasures Marine Corps and Sha Luo's Marine soldiers exhaled involuntarily. Head and fist, evenly matched. In terms of the strength of the armed color alone, Sha Luo really can't compare to Garp, who used the mountain to practice boxing in the original book, not to mention that Garp also fought with Green Pepper for many times before finally winning. In this era, the Green Pepper, who can face K with Garp and is inseparable, his cone head is not a vain name, and the armed color of ordinary people will definitely not be able to match him. However, if you add the Ru body defense of the Pangan armor, the attack and defense bonus of the immortal state, and the natural power of the unicorn arm. Ya, ah, 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 ah. A piece of Green Pepper snorted, struggling to the top. However, Sha Luo's fist, as well as his arm, did not mean to be beaten back. Boy, Ting is great, Green Pepper said loudly. It's okay, Sha Luo said, speaking of which, Green Pepper, I suddenly remembered something. What's the matter? Green Pepper said loudly while continuing to slam it with the head cone. If you lose, how about you just listen to me? Sha Luo said loudly. What? Hearing this, Qingzhao suddenly became furious. Boy, you are too arrogant to praise you, courting death. When you're done, try your best. At this time, Sha Luo suddenly came back to his senses. In other words, what I mean is, if I win, you will listen to me, wash your hands obediently in the future, stop being a pirate, join the Haixia force, and then follow me to do a big business and push the current world government. But these words in the ears of Green Peppers, it is estimated that it has become. Let him be my little brother. This is so misunderstood. However, forget it. The current situation is. Say it when you're done. Sha Luo instantly fired up. On the opposite side, Green Pepper was also furious. Crack. Crack. At the place where the tops of the cones of the two collided with their fists, a dazzling light suddenly burst out. Plop. 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 When the light passed, the 8 treasures marines behind Green Pepper and the marine soldiers behind Sha Luo suddenly became powerless. Then, it fell piece by piece. Seeing this, Green Pepper frowned. Hockey from conquerors. Green Pepper exclaimed. How could you, a marine, have such abilities, and the strength is not low? Because Laozi wants to redefine the world and define good and evil by himself. Sha Luo said loudly. Green Pepper, Ishan, you who are complacent when you only want a little treasure. Can it be compared to a world? After speaking, the strength of conquerors on his body suddenly increased to the highest level. The next moment, the strong conquerors, even as if it were divided into domains, made the surrounding air and everything around them bow their heads. The Green Pepper suddenly felt his whole body sink, as if the surrounding air was exerting a strong coercion on him. Under that strong pressure, Green Pepper's body was a little unstable. At the same time, there is a feeling of powerlessness. Green Pepper suddenly took a deep breath and forcibly stabilized his body, so as not to be directly crushed. And this time, call. The momentary distraction has already caused the evenly matched collision just now, directly out of balance. The next moment, Sha Luo punched forward and downward with a punch. Boom. The Green Pepper even took its head and was slammed into the ground. Crack. On the ground, a huge rift was knocked out by the cone head of the Green Pepper. Sha Luo closed her fist, took a few steps away, and then let out a long breath. If it was half a month ago, it might have been more difficult for him to face the Green Pepper without relying on the electromagnetic ability or the speed of his feet. After all, although he has Pangan armor, and immortal state, and has Kirin arm. But before he crossed over, he was just an ordinary person, and his body was completely free of evil spirits. On the other hand, in this world, there are so many demons, or quasi-demons, who are born with a strong body, a strong offensive and defensive talent, or a strong strength, which is equivalent to being born with he has 1 or 2 of his 3 abilities, 903, or even all 3. Therefore, although these 3 abilities gave him the qualifications to become a master in the capital to fight against those demons, they did not allow him to stand out from the crowd. Likewise, his armament hockey, when he got it from the system, was only at the elementary level. After about 10 years of hard training, although it has reached a high level of intensity, it is still too early if you want to crush Garp, Zephyr, and Green Pepper casually. It's not that Sha Luo didn't practice hard. It's just that, without the system giving extra hooks, Marine has been at the hockey level after decades of hard work with Vice Admiral. How can you expect everyone to be like the Straw Hat crew in the original book, especially Luffy and Zoro in the same way? When practicing and fighting, they fight with their lives every time, forcibly stimulate their potential, so that after 2 years of training, they can kill a bunch of people who have been practicing for decades at hockey strength. Sha Luo does not have such a strong fighting spirit. He is very concerned about his own body and his own life. Therefore, he never expected to be in the air in a second in a year or 2 in terms of armament. It took him 10 years to upgrade his armament to the elite Vice Admiral level, and he was actually quite satisfied. His original plan was that if the system didn't give him a chance, he would spend 20 years training hard to get to Garp, Zephyr, even the armed color level of hockey cattle like Whitebeard. Anyway, he crossed the era early, and has a long lifespan and slow aging. In addition, he has strong electromagnetic ability and speed to assist in combat. Therefore, 20 years is not a long time for him. If the Easter egg system spit out 1 or 2 more corresponding Easter eggs, this time may be shortened a lot. But just now, if you want to go head to head with the cone of the Green Pepper, there is no special advantage. Sha Luo secretly opened the system interface. There, you can see that you have only acquired new abilities in the near future. The Territory of Tyrants. The repression level ability that can be exerted by people with powerful spirit. Using this ability, you can directly use the domineering aura to force coercion on the designated area or the designated enemy, or cause substantial physical oppression, and even command the world and change the color of the situation. This ability can also be used to forcefully counteract certain psychic influences. Please comprehend and develop other applications by yourself. Explanation. The strength of this ability is strengthened with the strengthening of one's heart and vigor. It is possible to master its usage and develop new usages through practice, but the strength cannot be increased through practice. Speaking of Xinshang and Qi, originally, when I spent time in Marine, I still didn't have any spirit worth mentioning. At that time, I could say that I was a powerful bastard. However, just over a week ago, when talking about the name of Sha to Aurora Babena, preparing to redefine the power structure of the entire world, preparing to break the world government's monopoly on justice for 800 years, when preparing to define justice, distinguish justice, and lead justice by myself. The blood that had been silent for a long time began to boil again. Moreover, it is not a newborn calf who is not afraid of tiger-like blood brought by ignorance. It is a kind of blood that truly looks at the whole world, and treats the world like a chessboard, with calm and atmosphere. It doesn't require you to yell passionately. A person's daring has never been directly equated with how loud and passionate he roars. However, the world has already unfolded before him. This kind of steady blood, this special aura, directly strengthened the dominator's territory that he had just won. And, in the battle just now, in the face of the green pepper that also has conquerors, directly excited. And then, that's the result now. Compared to myself, who wants to redefine the world pattern and break the world government's 800-year monopoly on justice. The green pepper who just wants to run wild and collect treasures everywhere has a little heart and a little courage. How can it be compared? Rolling. Only this, the two sides are rolling without suspense. Sha Luo's, dominator's territory, even directly formed an obvious physical oppression on the green peppers. Qingzhao, you are really unfortunate. It's too late to appear. Looking at the green pepper that was beaten into the ground in front of him, Sha Luo smiled inwardly. At this time, Qingzhao didn't faint directly. She came out of the ground with both hands, propped up on the ground, and pulled out the upper half of her body soon after. Then, the corners of Sha Luo's mouth twitched slightly. Ah, shit. Just like Lao Kai kicked the green pepper in the original book, Sha Luo didn't directly flatten the head of the green pepper like Garp did, or directly flatten it back like Luffy did. As soon as he hit the ground, Sha Luo punched down, and immediately hit the side of the cone-shaped head heavily. I saw that the top of the head was already bent like tinfoil. Then came the problem. It's easy to bend, it's hard to come back. And with the character of green pepper, before trying to find a way to help him beat S head back, it is estimated that he will not be able to have a good conversation. Whizzing. Green pepper also felt something was wrong on the top of his head. At this moment, Shen's hand touched the top of his head repeatedly. Then, he couldn't help but froze. The feel is completely different from before. The top of the head, bent. You bastard. Qingzhao was furious, bend my proud iron head. Well. Sha Luo curled her lips helplessly, isn't this the first fight you started? Damn it. Green pepper is still in the mood to be reasonable at this time, and shouted, I can't stand against you. Die. 8 Chong fist. After he finished speaking, his arm turned the color of black iron, and he punched Sha Luo. 8 Chong fist. It is a move passed down from generation to generation by the 8 treasures Shui Jun, with a century-old history. It releases a diffuse shock wave with powerful attack power while striking the opponent. It is a very powerful attack. The famous green pepper, open the door, is an extension of this set of skills. It's just that the top of the cone used to open the door has been bent, so the green pepper directly hit it with his fist. Seeing this, Sha Luo smiled leisurely. No matter how good the attack is, it has to be hit. Saying that, the figure flashed quickly, and the whole person has disappeared from the place. Since you are not satisfied, then hit you until you are satisfied, hit you. The next moment, Sha Luo had already appeared in midair. At the same time, the 9 coins that were instantly taken out from the storage space were already floating in the air around him like chess pieces. And then, shots, super electromagnetic 9 guns. Whoosh, 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 Just like a commander, Sha Luo punched with a fist with a strong 910 electromagnetic field. The 9-shot super electromagnetic cannon, like a shooting star, sealed the space where the green peppers were dodging, and moved towards him. He hit the green pepper below and shot at it. Ah! On the ground, when the green pepper saw this, he shouted angrily. At this time, he knew that it was difficult to dodge, and immediately, he turned his armed color to the maximum to protect his body. Boom! 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 The next moment, of the 9 shells, 7 hit the ground nearby, while the other 2 hit green pepper directly. On the ground, as well as on the green peppers, the flames suddenly burst into flames. Is it only that much? Green pepper yelled. Although he was also hit very hard, firstly, the armed color offset a lot of damage, and secondly, even if it hurts again, his mouth can be soft, but the opposite side bends his proud cone head and ruins his famous stunt. Damn it boy, how could he make him more proud? After a loud roar, Qingzhao endured the pain in his body and jumped into the air instantly. In midair, Sha Luo smiled again. By the way, do you really want to play air combat with the Air Force? Since that's the case. Thunder 100 million volts. Boom. The next moment, a large piece of thunderlight, like a waterfall, poured down against the green peppers that were rushing towards the sky. The green pepper that flew into the air was obviously too late to dodge completely, and was immediately engulfed by the lightning. Damn it. In the thunderlight, there was the angry cry of green pepper. As for Sha Luo, at this moment, her figure moved, and she also flashed into the thunderlight. Then, while the green pepper was still working hard against the thunder and lightning, he was like a fish in the water, and instantly came to the green pepper's side. Then, electronic prohibition. Woo. The heavy fist with a powerful electromagnetic force punched the green pepper's back. In an instant, I saw the green pepper, who was still working hard to fight against the lightning, and his hands and feet suddenly twitched a few times. Then, it fell heavily from midair. Boom. On the ground, a human-shaped pit was once again smashed, and a large amount of broken dust flew up. Sha Luo flashed and returned to the ground. Then, I looked at the green pepper that was twitching on the ground. Electronic harassment, like a certain skill used by Senju Tsunade in Hokage, is to directly shoot the corresponding current or electrons into the opponent's body through melee attacks, thereby interfering with the bioelectricity in the opponent's body, and then interfering with the signal, passing and body control. In this One Piece world, although this trick is not as convenient as Tsunade in Hokage, due to armament hockey's defense and counteracting effects, if other pre-attacks are added first, the enemy has already in the case of difficult defense, it is still very good to do this again. On the ground, the green pepper spat heavily. Then, when I wanted to get up, I found that my hands and feet were twitching. I tried to support the ground with both hands, but my feet were rowing backwards like frogs. Green pepper is shocked and angry. What kind of mess are you capable of? Want to know? Sha Luo laughed, but I won't explain it to you slowly. Damn. I don't need your explanation either, Green Pepper said angrily. So, do you want to continue fighting now? Sha Luo laughed. If I want to fight, I can also try other abilities. In addition to Tsunade's skill, as a traverser, Sha Luo will naturally consider the use of the lightning ability of other lightning characters that he has seen before. Like Fourth Raikage, also from Hokage Ninja. His Flesh One body activation, using lightning to change the activity of its own cells, thereby greatly enhancing the ability to respond in the speed of the body, is quite famous. And this ability is quite compatible with Sha Luo. Because Sha Luo is not a Logia's Thunderbolt, but a Paramecia with a fixed entity, or lightning-style ninja. It's just that Fourth Raikage's ability to activate the body is easy to say, but for Sha Luo, there is an additional trouble. That is, he has a special passive ability, electric field stabilization. Electric field maintenance. In addition to actively applying an electric field to itself, the electric field in the body is kept at a stable level. When encountering an excessively high external electric field that exceeds the level of the ordinary human body, it will consume a small amount of physical energy and automatically convert it into physical energy. This process also involves physical energy consumption and physical strength recovery. Generally, the recovery amount is greater than the consumption amount. There may be exceptions when the physical strength is too low, or actively spread the excess electric field outward. Because of electric field stability, the bioelectric field in Sha Luo's body will remain extremely stable, and he is a guy who is truly immune to lightning. Even his own lightning is immune to a lot. Therefore, it is not a very easy thing for him to use lightning to change the activity of his own cells by going beyond the electric field to maintain stability. Sha Luo also practiced secretly for a long time before finally becoming a master. And I didn't use it casually before, so as to avoid all the information of Marine and World Government Master. But now, if Qingzhao wants to see it, Sha Luo doesn't mind making an appearance. Anyway, there are no other masters here, and no one can see it. Damn it. Seeing his easygoing, successful, and leisurely demeanor, Qingzhao couldn't help but get annoyed. However, there is no other way. The other party's self-confidence was justified, and he could clearly see that. Continue to fight, just bring your own humiliation. If you have the ability to kill me, otherwise, I will hate you to the point of my grandchildren. Qingzhao shouted angrily. I will also curse you for not having a son for the rest of your life. If you can fight now, there will be no one at that time. Inherited. What? Hearing Green Pepper's words, Sha Luo couldn't help being dumbfounded. In other words, without your curse, this has already been realized. I only have a daughter. Okay. I have only daughters and no sons in my life, okay. Sha Luo laughed. You. Hearing this, Qingzhao was so angry that he was speechless. Curse him face to face, he is still completely unnerved? Who is this? Damn it. Green Pepper roared angrily. Then, after lying on the ground for a while, the hands and feet finally adjusted and adapted quickly. Immediately, with a swoosh sound, it bounced off the ground. I called you not even a daughter. Green Pepper roared, desperately charging towards Sha Luo. And Sha Luo, at this time, raised her fist unceremoniously. At the same time, golden rays of light and lightning flashed from his body. Then, the figure flashed rapidly. Woo. This time, it was much simpler, as in the original Whitebeard's second ace. Green Pepper has fainted directly. This is also a matter of course. Although he forcibly jumped up and attacked Sha Luo just now, the electronic disorder in his body has obviously not recovered 100%, the body's signal transmission has been disturbed, armament hockey's strength and body's resistance have decreased, and Sha Luo turned on the immortal state, coupled with the activation of the flesh, the speed was extremely fast, and the attack power was full. As soon as it disappeared, a punch passed, just like Laozi hitting his son, and the difference was instantly seen. Sorry, I already have a daughter. Looking at the Green Pepper who yelled, I called you without a daughter, and was beaten to the ground, Sha Luo muttered to herself. Then, take a long sigh. Green Pepper, the bent cone head, can't even guarantee that he will be able to hit it back all at once. After all, there is still a strong coincidence that Luffy knocked out his cone in the original book, and I can only think about whether there is any other way in the future. Before that, it seemed that it was impossible to have a good conversation with him. Let's take a look at the historical text stone tablet first, Sha Luo whispered to herself. Immediately, while everyone around was still awake, he walked to the vicinity of the carriage. The horse had already fainted there. Sha Luo stepped into the carriage of the carriage. I saw a square blue stone tablet in front of me, which came into view. On the stele, there are some peculiar characters that Sha Luo could not understand. Really historical text? So, what's next? Speaking of the historical text, it is impossible to avoid Nicole Robin, who is regarded as a little goddess by Sha Luo in the original book. She was cute when she was young, beautiful when she grew up, and the experience in the past few decades was so miserable. If it is said that traversing the world of One Piece can only change the fate of a woman, then Sha Luo must choose Robin first. And now, the stele that will affect Robin's fate in the future is right in front of him. Do you accept it? Do you not accept it? Of course it's collected. Anyway, I don't intend to let Robin's fate be the same as in the original book, and I am destined to have a relationship with Robinche when I was a child. So, isn't this stone tablet in front of me the first step to establish a connection between myself and Ohara? Sha Luo immediately raised her hand, ready to put the stone tablet into the storage space. But after thinking about it, I first took out the camera phone bug from the space. Then, the contents of the stele were slightly photographed. Then, while putting the stone tablet in the storage space, I developed the photo. And when he finished these things, the 8 treasures Marines and Marine soldiers who had previously fainted due to Conqueror's collision, woke up one after another. Boss. Master Green Pepper. Seeing that the Green Pepper had been beaten to the ground, and even the top of its head was bent over, everyone in the 8 treasures navy couldn't help exclaiming. Then, he looked at Sha Luo who jumped out of the carriage with horror and fear. Oh, I'm awake. Looking at the frightened crowd, Sha Luo smiled leisurely, Don't worry. Although your boss is a pirate, he is also a member of the 8 Treasures Marine Corps of the Land of Flowers, world government. And Marines still have to give some face. I won't arrest him now. The 8 Treasures Marines are both pirates, also known as Navy, a bit like official pirates, or 7 Warlords of the Sea, is a part of the sea power of the Kingdom of Flowers. When necessary, will meet foreign enemies for the Country of Flowers. It is a semi-legal pirate group recognized by the Country of Flowers. Garp, or Sha Luo, who has knocked out the green pepper now, don't have to arrest him, at most they just tell him to be honest. Really? Hearing his words, everyone in the 8 Treasures Marine Corps breathed a sigh of relief. This Thunder Eater, Sha Luo, used to be with the boss Green Pepper and thought that he was taking advantage of Whitebeard by playing Thor West, but now, he first defeated the Blue Enchantress Aurora Babena, and then beat the Green Pepper boss as well. On the ground, there is also Big Mom Charlotte Linlin almost hit the red line in order to get him back. He was able to interact with so many great people in one episode, and even defeated many great people. All kinds of deeds show that this guy, it is no longer comparable to ordinary people. Even the boss was beaten to the ground by him. Such a guy is so lucky to be able to let himself go. However, at this time, Sha Luo continued to say, "Tell you boss, I confiscated the hidden gemstone tablet that he found, but I am very merciful. The treasure information recorded on the stone tablet. I can ask you to take part of it and go to those people in Ohara to identify it, and if it is determined to be a treasure, I can find it with him, half and half." What? Okay, that's it. This is done. As Sha Luo spoke, she moved a hand and threw a photo like a dart. Then, looking at the marine soldiers who woke up a few people. "Wake them all up. Let's go." Yes. The Marines were still bewildered, not sure what happened afterward, but in short, Green Pepper was beaten to the ground, which was a victory for their own side, and then they woke up the others. Then, follow Sha Luo and walk away. At the back, the people of the 8 Treasures Marine Corps did not rush forward until he walked away to wake the Green Pepper. And then, Thunder Eater Sha Luo. Green Pepper's heart-piercing voice spread far and wide in the air. "Damn it. I can't stand against you. Even if I can't beat you, I will beat your son and your grandson. Hit your woman." That. Green Pepper boss. A man from the 8 Treasures Marine Corps said weakly beside him. "What's the matter?" Green Pepper said, "His woman, is that Charlotte Linlin?" Hearing the words of his subordinates, Qingzhao was speechless. Then, he raised his fist violently. "You talk too much. Call." The poor 8 Treasures Marines flew out immediately. After unceremoniously scavenging the historical text stone tablet found by Green Pepper into the storage space, Sha Luo walked away with a small group of Marine soldiers. In the back, Green Pepper was extremely annoyed, but there was nothing to do with him. At the same time, it is also very strange. Where did that guy put such a large stone tablet? How can he take it away, and the stone tablet in the carriage has really disappeared? But those are secondary things. The 8 Treasures sailor who had been thrown by Sha Luo to take a photo with historical text characters quickly handed over the photo to Green Pepper. Looking at the things in the photo, Qingzhao remembered a complete hidden gemstone, but now there is only an incomplete version of the photo left, and he couldn't help gnashing his teeth again. However, thinking about the possible ancient treasures, I still swallowed, and decided to find someone from Ohara to identify it and try it again. Go back to West Blue," Green Pepper said bitterly to the crowd. Then, take the 8 Treasures Navy and head towards the red line near West Blue. On the other side, Sha Luo took the Marine soldiers and soon reached the western coast of the seaside kingdom of Cambia. From there, head to a nearby Marine branch and board the appropriate warship. Then, head towards South Blue. After more than 10 days, everyone successfully arrived at Shia Island, where the 137 branch is located in the northwest of South Blue. The island of Shia is in charge of the branch Colonel Jeffrey. The overall situation is similar to the Mouse Colonel who colluded with Aaron and his gang in the original book. Usually, strong pirates are seen as not seen, and they are allowed to burn, kill, loot, and run rampant. Seeing the weak pirates, they chased after them as if they had been beaten with blood, and then reported their achievements. The days were quite comfortable, and the word slickness was used to ultimate. Hearing that Sha Luo was coming, Colonel Jeffrey didn't dare to neglect. After all, this guy has too many deeds, so he greeted him more politely, and then arranged an area for Sha Luo to let he drives the warship to patrol every day, and the rest is optional. So Sha Luo also, he made a random round of the day, then tossed the Marines and drove a small boat to go fishing. Arriving on the inaccessible sea, I began to further master my body activation. Anyway, for Sha Luo, this skill mainly focuses on his special manipulation of the current in his body. Except that the body surface will leak a part of the arc, the rest is no different from the monk's meditation. And South Blue's sea conditions are not as bad as Grand Line in New World, generally neither getting lost nor other problems. The days went on like this. Sha Luo was fishing and practicing his skills, while secretly waiting for someone at naval headquarters to attack his 2 wives or Zephyr's wife, and then he rushed back in an instant to enforce the fishing law. Of course, before taking the lady and daughter right out of the marine. Major news. Grand Line's well-known big pirate, Blue Enchantress, Oribabena, officially announced a few days ago that from now on, the 9 Snake Pirates will be disbanded. Then, the 9 Snakes Pirates was officially born. The new 9 Snakes Sea Knights will not attack civilians or ordinary merchant ships, but will target those evil pirates, profiteers, gangsters, bullies, slave ships, etc., in the name of Sha, vertical and horizontal on the sea. And, if there is no evil in the future, will no longer accept bounties imposed by anyone. In October 1488 of the Sea Garden calendar, a news, first from a local newspaper in a certain country in South Blue, seemed to be forcibly released, and then, like an explosion, spread all over the world. By the time naval headquarters and the world government got the news, it was almost too late to block it. Seaman? The 9 Snakes Pirates disbanded? The 9 Snakes Pirates were born? The world of One Piece is not without the concept of Sha. For example, Jinbei's later title in the original book is actually Sea Sha. But it only refers to him alone, and at the same time, the Fur on Zou Island there are also organizations such as Knights Group, although the word Sha is not as popular as China in the 3-dimensional world. Just like other countries in the 3-dimensional world have similar words, in the whole One Piece, the world is actually not a completely unfamiliar concept. It's just that no one ever thought of using it to describe a new group, a new position, or even a new force. I call myself a seaman. Don't attack civilians, don't attack ordinary merchant ships, and only target those evil pirates, profiteers, gangsters, bullies, slave ships, etc. Because what you did is not evil, you don't accept a reward imposed by anyone. Is this a blatant claim that the bounty offered by Marine and the government is no longer valid? No, more importantly, what she means is, whether what I did is evil or not, I will judge by myself. I don't think what I did is evil, so no one else has the right to want me? This is a challenge to the authority of Marine and the government? With the rapid fermentation of the news, East Blue, West Blue, South Blue, North Blue, Grand Line, New World suddenly seemed to explode. Who? Red Line. Holy Land, Marie Joyce, dressed in a black suit, with curly white hair, a white Pongson beard, and a 5 Elders armor with a flat cap, slammed the table in front of him heavily. That bastard woman, she suddenly got some nerves. If a large number of pirates follow suit and declare that Marine's bounty is invalid, what authority do Marine and the government have? As for the government, how can they label all those enemies as evil, according to their own interests? This is simply grabbing the right to define justice. Even, maybe one day, they can openly grab some corrupt officials and bullies of the government and jump out to promote the evil nature of the government? This is absolutely no small matter. As the so-called guilty of being a thief, the 5 elders knew best about the virtues of the government agencies and nobles below them, so at this moment, they suddenly thought of a longer-term place than ordinary people. 9 Snake Pirates, are you going to openly provoke us? Said 5 elders B wearing a dark blue suit and white long straight hair. Is she trying to tell the world that the government doesn't have the absolute authority to define their actions? Said 5 elders, a blonde-haired and golden-bearded man in a dark red suit. But, it's also possible that it's just her randomness. Said the bald 5 elders, who was wearing a dark green suit and had a birthmark on his forehead. That woman doesn't seem to have such a profound scheming. That's right. Judging from her behavior in the 9 years since she debuted, it's true. 5 elders a long hair, short knowledge, and using force to go around. This is really what she is used to. Style. But even so, this matter can't be allowed to ferment. 5 elders B said, and the possibility that there is someone behind her cannot be ruled out. Although the woman seems to be very disgusted with men. So, do you want to send someone to attack the woman and make her more honest? 5 elders asked. It is indeed necessary. 5 elders Ding said, in this case. Just as he was about to say something, at this moment, he heard a rush of running from outside the door, and at the same time, the voice of a commanding officer came hurriedly. 5 elders. 5 elders. What's up? There was an urgent telegram from the G5 branch in New World. which was under a ferocious attack by a pirate group. A large number of warships flew into the sky bizarrely, and then smashed down to the base, causing chaos in Marine. G5 branch guy Vice Admiral and Rear Admiral and others are now leading the soldiers to stand guard, asking for immediate reinforcements. What? The year of October 1488 in the Haiyuan calendar was an eventful year for the world government and Marine. Blue Enchantress Aurora Babena publicly announced the dissolution of the 9 snake pirates, the establishment of the 9 snakes, and that, if there is no evil in the future, I will no longer accept any bounty imposed by anyone. It was causing a sensation in the whole world, and the 5 elders of Marie Joyce had to pay attention and prepare to take action. Then, the G5 branch in New World suffered a blatant and comprehensive attack by pirates. Different from the harassing attacks of those pirates in the past, this time the pirates even completely took down the G5 branch. By the time Marine dispatched warships and Admiral Vice Admiral to reinforce them, they were still on the road when they received news of the annihilation of the G5 branch. 2 Marine Vice Admirals were killed, and 6 Marine Rear Admirals were either killed or wounded, and the G5 branch was looted and devastated. Such losses have been rare in the past few hundred years. It's not to say that no pirates have that kind of strength in the past few hundred years, but that no pirates have such ambitions in the past few hundred years. You must know that when pirates attack Marine's key branch, may not be easy to capture, and there is not much benefit to capture. Under normal circumstances, even big pirates will not do this kind of thing casually. But now, it all happened so suddenly. In a sense, it even seemed like a blatant demonstration to the world government and Marine. Or a follow-up to the Battle of Bologna a few months ago. It seems to be announcing the birth of someone to the whole world, and it is also announcing to all the pirates in the New World that in this world, in this sea area, there is not only a white-beard man, a one-eyed dragon, and a Charlotte. Just Linlin. The leader of this attack, Golden Lion Shiki, and his flying sky pirates, officially caused a sensation in the world and became a force that the world government had to look at. And be wary. Because, this guy even seems to have the ambition to swallow the world. Compared with this guy, the woman from the 9 Snake Sea Knights can wait and see for a while. What's more, because of the calm belt, even if you want to do something now, there is no good way. A few days later. New World. The main ship of the Whitebeard pirates, the Moby Dick. Gu La La La. Charlotte Linlin, the Blue Enchantress Orababena, and the Golden Lion Shiki all jumped out one by one in less than 3 months and challenged Marine. Looking at the newspaper in his hand, Whitebeard laughed longly. It seems that this sea has become more and more interesting. Charlotte Linlin is just to chase his second uncle. Golden Lion Shiki has always been very ambitious. These two are not difficult to understand. Marco said next to him. But the woman with 9 snakes is a bit unsightly. Clear. Is the Blue Enchantress Aurora Babena? Whitebeard said. Speaking of which, although I don't like her, Seaman, it may be unexpectedly similar to your second uncle's preferences. Dad means. Beside him, Joz said inexplicably. Although your second uncle doesn't want to be a pirate, he also has his own judgment on many things, but he is not the kind of man who casually regards what the government preaches as truth. Whitebeard said slowly. If justice can be defined in a more open way, then, he might like it very much. Although I don't care about those things. Hearing his words, everyone could not help but be a little silent. Justice is defined in a more open way, perhaps, the temperament of the second uncle is really only the father who knows best, right? Ah. Opposite the red line, South Blue. On an empty sea, Sha Luo suddenly sneezed heavily. Boom. Head overhead, there was a dull thundercloud crashing sound at this time. Looks like it's going to change. Holding a fishing rod, sitting on a wooden boat about the size of Hawkeye's boat in the original book, Sha Luo looked up and looked at the sky. It looks like a thunderstorm. Crack. When his voice fell, high in the sky, after a violent impact, several lightning bolts finally slammed toward the sea below and smashed down. The open sea, violent thunder, and seeing all this, Sha Luo's heart moved, and suddenly, it seemed that he had returned to the happy time he had on a certain island. The next moment, the body is almost a conditioned reflex, releasing the corresponding electric field outward. And then, ziz. Cack, in midair, the thunder and lightning that was originally slashing toward the surrounding sea suddenly seemed to be attracted, and rushed towards the boat. And the noodles that seem to be sucked into the mouth are no longer fleeting, but like flowing water, they are gathered towards a certain place. In an instant, between the sky and the earth, above the sea, a peculiar landscape was formed. The thunder and lightning splitting from several directions gather at a small point on the sea, all of which are like a huge lightning flower, blooming on the endless sea. Lord Snake. The thunderstorm ahead is so weird. Someone seems to have been struck by lightning. The flower of thunder and lightning on the open sea quickly attracted the attention of people on a red sailboat in the distance. No. That's. Some people faintly saw that the person was not as simple as being struck by lightning, and said loudly in the same surprise. Hearing that, nearby, the blue-haired enchantress Oribabena came over, took the telescope, and looked at it. Then, his face suddenly brightened. Come on, Oribabena shouted, that's my husband. I'm here to marry him. Hearing her words, except for a few female warriors who had expected it, the general people on the ship were almost shocked. However, Lord Snake G's orders still have to be obeyed. Under the blue-haired woman's order, the sailboat was pulled by a huge, swimming snake. And soon, it arrived near the wooden boat. On the wooden boat, Sha Luo obviously noticed the arrival of the other party, and at this moment, he sighed slightly. Hey. I just came out to catch a fish. Lord Sha Luo. Aurora Babena said loudly on the sailboat, I have already thought about the child's name several times. Puff. I didn't expect that when we met, Sha Luo and everyone on the sailboat almost sprayed blood at the same time. The two boats were approaching, and Sha Luo had to dodge and board the red sailboat. That was the ship of the original 9 Snake Pirates, which had been renamed the 9 Snakes. Because the original pirate flag of the 9 Snake Pirates only had 9 snakes, and there was no skull pattern that is common among pirates, so after the name change, there was no need to change the flag, which happened to be the symbol of the entire country of 9 snakes. On the boat, most of the female warriors were still in a state of bewilderment at the moment. Although it is said that because of its isolation from the world, 9 Snake Island does not have so many roundabouts and intrigues from the outside world. Therefore, many people's thinking patterns are also different from the outside world. More than 70% of the emperors of the past dynasties have thought of what to do. Everyone has been accustomed to this since they were young, and it is not surprising, but just like Mr. Snake G just met and said directly, the child's name. It's the first time I've ever seen the child's name. Sha Luo sighed inwardly. This time, it seems that there is no reason to run. And can't run. Aurora Babena has blatantly changed the name of the 9 snakes to the Haishu regiment because of her own few words. How could she have left her or kicked her to others? Yo, Oribabena. Sha Luo looked at Oribabena, who was opposite, and smiled. I also saw the newspaper the other day. Really? Oribabena said brightly. The 9 Snakes Sea Knight group has been established, and now I'm not a thief. Then. Speaking of this, the big eyes kept blinking like a little girl, and the implication was simply too obvious. Seeing this scene, Sha Luo was speechless. Damn, you are more sex than me. Although Aurora Babena doesn't necessarily understand that side thing. Then next. Boom blah blah. Boom blah blah. Just as he was about to say something, at this moment, the voice of a phone bug rang in his pocket. Sha Luo frowned slightly. Cut. I really don't know the occasion. Immediately, the phone bug was found. Hey, what's the matter? Is it Major Sha Luo? Opposite, came the voice of a man. Exactly. Say something. Sha Luo said. I'm Jeffrey, said the opposite side. I just received news from above that it is said that the 9 Snakes Pirates. Oh no, the women who have now been renamed the 9 Snakes Pirates have already coming to South Blue, in this area. Witnesses claim that they appear to have gone to the waters between the islands of Kokona, Syria, and Kusasha. This is your usual fishing. Oh no, usual is the place of duty closer? About. Sha Luo said angrily. Not only close, but by my side. Then what? Sha Luo continued. Above. There is an order, Jeffrey said. If you encounter it, I hope you can take down that enchantress completely this time. Of course, I won't take credit for you. Remember when the time comes. Say it, it's just the information I provide. Ha. Sha Luo was speechless. Take that woman down completely. I've taken it, long ago. The question is, do you think I'll give her to you? Okay, I see. Complained in his heart, but Sha Luo just pretended that nothing happened and said calmly. Then, hung up the phone. Shoo, shoo, shoo. At this time, nearby, the female warriors of the 9 Snakes Sea Knights spread their bows and arrows in unison, aiming the arrows at Sha Luo. Are you going to be detrimental to our snake princess? A female warrior said loudly. Although you were very strong, you didn't even get hurt by lightning strikes, and you beat us last time, another female warrior said, but we are not that weak, and we won't be captured. That's right. Don't think it's bad for Lady Snake. Everyone said in succession. Seeing everyone's reaction, Sha Luo couldn't help but sigh. Sure enough, they are a group of naive women who don't understand the love between men and women at all. Haven't you seen the relationship between me and you, Snake Ji-sama? Put away your bows and arrows right now. Oribabena shouted eagerly. He's my husband. Speaking of this, he couldn't help but stroke his cheeks with his hands, his face glowing red like a little girl. That scene was really the same as her daughter later in the original book. However, it is more open than her daughter. But Mr. Snakeji, he just answered the phone, and it's not good for you, a female warrior said. Yeah. Everyone also said, you. Aurora Babena was speechless. These female warriors are quite simple, but too simple, right? Can a few perfunctory words on the phone be taken seriously? Just as he was about to say something, at this moment, an electric arc suddenly jumped around. Then one by one, whoosh, 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 whoosh. The arrows that everyone put on the bowstrings, all of them involuntarily let go of their hands and the strings, and then flew straight into the sky. What? Seeing this, everyone couldn't help being surprised. At this time, I suddenly recalled that 2 months ago, this scene also happened. That man named Sha Luo, the iron bow and arrow, as completely useless in front of him. Everyone was instinctively alert, and this time, an invisible coercion swept past, plop, plop, plop. On the boat, everyone fell down one after another. In the whole ship, except for Sha Luo and Aurora Babena, there were only 4 female warriors left. At this moment, after shaking their bodies, they barely stood still. What? The remaining 4 were shocked. Conqueror's hockey just like Snakeheim-sama. And, the intensity is even. Only Aurora Babena, with a flushed face at this moment, this hockey of Lord Sha Luo. It seems that the last time I fought with me, it was really complete. Not doing your best? Hearing this, Sha Luo was speechless in her heart. The last time I fought with you, I really didn't use my full strength, at least I didn't use thunder to blast you wildly, but this conqueror's hockey, the last time I fought with you. It's not that I didn't want to use it, but I really didn't have it. But those details are ignored for now. It seems that although all of your Haisha regiments are warriors, there are not many who can be called experts. Sha Luo looked around and said. Then, Aurora Babena said, if someone can help you train them more systematically, it might be better. Sha Luo said. Having said that, the shadow of the man who became the marine instructor in the original flashed before his eyes again. If it is him, can one person cultivate a true elite? That person. Is that you? In front of her, Oribabena said expectantly, if you train them, they will definitely become very strong. No, I'm not omnipotent either. Sha Luo said angrily, also, although I'm actually just 30 years old now, I'm still very young because my life expectancy is several times longer than that of ordinary people. You're not afraid? Are they all nurtured by me and want to marry me? Hearing his words, Aurora Babena was startled. The next moment, blackness fell on his forehead. Just like her daughter's face change in the original book. That kind of thing, but no, Aurora Babena said with a black forehead. Just kidding. Sha Luo laughed, I'm not in a hurry to the point where I want to meet a woman. Then. What about a woman like me? Aurora Babena looked up and said in a low voice in anticipation. Hearing her words and seeing her expression of anticipation and anxiety, Sha Luo couldn't help being silent. MD, even then, Hancock really became my daughter. Everything, no one can stop it. Let me personally add a powerful female warrior to 9 Snake Island. Sha Luo immediately took Oribabena into the cabin to sit down. Then, in the cabin, a moving, murmured voice soon sounded. Outside, the 4 female warriors who were awake originally, and the other female warriors who woke up later, heard the occasional sound from the crack of the door that was closed well but still let out some wind, look at each other. Lord Liuli, Lord Snake Princess. What are you doing inside now? Cough cough. Why do you ask so many? Do your job well, and go to the observation deck to be on guard. If any ship approaches this area, report it immediately. Oh yes. No matter what Lord Sheji does, she doesn't need anyone to intervene. Since she didn't ask anyone to help, she doesn't need to disturb her. Immediately, a few young female warriors who had just joined the Haisha regiment, Juisan, returned to the observation deck with a pure face, maintaining vigilance against the surrounding waters. At the same time, some old soldiers who had been at sea for several years now looked at each other in dismay. Everyone knows what's going on inside. but at the same time, no one knows what is going on inside. An hour later, Sha Luo walked out of the cabin full of energy. Next to him, Aroba Benei was in his arms. Her body was slightly soft, as if she was a little weak, but there was a different kind of red light on her face, which contrasted with the soft demeanor, showing a temperament that has never been seen before, as if the peach blossoms finally bloomed successfully in spring. Lord Snake Princess. Nearby, the female warriors of the 9 snakes quickly gathered around and were concerned. And Aurora Babena, at this time, stood up straight and looked at the crowd. Then looked at Sha Luo again. From today onwards, he is the official husband of the concubine. Aurora Babena shouted majestically to the crowd, no matter what he said or what orders he issued to you, it was my order, understand? Hearing this, everyone was surprised. No matter what he said, it was the order of Lord Snake Ji? That's like handing over the entire 9 snakes sea knights to him? However, although I was surprised, one by one. Yes. The crowd responded obediently. As I said earlier, Amazon Lily's people don't think so much about the outside world. Since Lord Snake Ji is the emperor who is followed by the whole country, then, her words, her orders, naturally have to obey. Even if her words may be willful. Besides, Orababena looked at Sha Luo again. The majesty just now disappeared, replaced by a little girl's flattering light. If you have any instructions for your concubine, you can always do it at any time. Come find me. Well, good. Sha Luo was no longer a stranger to her quick switching of majesty for a while and a little girl, and she simply responded. I've been here for a long time today, Sha Luo said, then, I'll leave first. Hearing this, Orababena's expression just now became slightly depressed, and after a long while, she reluctantly responded. Seeing this, Sha Luo smiled slightly, and she brushed the hair on the side of her face. Don't worry, it won't take too long, there will definitely be a time to meet, I'll take you back today. Send me? Aurora Babena asked in confusion. Yeah. Sha Luo laughed. First, I'm still marine after all, so next, I'm going to hunt you down. Hearing his words, Aurora Babena was slightly taken aback. Then, he blushed. Sha Luo then flashed back to her little wooden boat. Then, began to pursue the 9 snakes sea knights. A peculiar landscape soon appeared on the sea. The red boat of the 9 snake sea knights was pulled by 2 huge, swimming snakes, struggling to move forward. Behind it, there is a small wooden boat with a piece of iron on each side of the hull as a crude armor, less than 1/10 the size of the red boat, and it is chasing closely. There are nearly 100 female warriors on the red boat of the 9 snakes sea knights. On the small wooden boat, there is only one person. On the ship of the 9 snakes and sea knights, the red sails were wide open. On the small wooden boat, not only did the sails not open, but even the oars were not. But even so, the ship seemed to not need to rely on sails or oars, relying entirely on waves, with occasional flashing arcs, chasing the large red ship ahead at sea, and moving fast. In front, the red boat of the 9 snake sea knights did not dare to look back, and ran wildly in the direction of the calm belt to the north. The 2 were at sea, chasing fiercely. Seeing this, many people on the islands along the way couldn't help but secretly amazed. Thunder Eater Sha Luo, you really are a bull. One person, chasing a group of 9 snakes and sea heroes and fleeing. Blue Enchantress Orababena, in front of the Thunder Eater Sha Luo, she didn't even dare to fight back. The news spread quickly, and for a while, the nearby islands became a sensation. No one knew how strong that man was. However, even the Blue Enchantress was beaten to the point of losing the courage to fight back, so what else is there to say? One runs and the other chases. A few days later, Sha Luo forcibly chased the 9 snakes sea knights back to the calm belt. Then, he returned leisurely with a look of regret. In the South Blue 137 branch, Colonel Jeffrey quickly found Sha Luo. Did you catch anyone? Jeffrey said with a disappointed look on his face. I thought I could make a fortune. Do you think it's so easy to catch? Then go catch it. Sha Luo frowned unceremoniously. The Sea Kings of Calm Belt, do you think it's so easy to deal with? This. Colonel Jeffrey was speechless. Next time they come, call me earlier, Sha Luo said again. I'll make preparations, and then go over. Okay. Hearing this, Jeffrey Kaido hurriedly. Although the military rank is a branch colonel, which is higher than the opponent, he can't afford to offend this relegated man. Here, people are the uncles, and Jeffrey is not at all compelled about this, and he understands it very well. Sha Luo then continued to live calmly, while secretly strengthening hockey and improving the proficiency and improvement of Ru body activation, while waiting for the changes on the side of his wife and daughter. On the other hand, after being driven by Sha Luo back to Calm Belt and back to Nine Snake Island. Lord Snake Princess? What happened to you, Lord Snake Princess? One day, while Orobabena was eating breakfast, she suddenly started to vomit. Old Captain, it's not good. Lord Snake G has a physical problem again. Could it be that the previous illness has flared up again? Gloriosa, who lives in seclusion in a remote corner of Nine Snake Island, was immediately alerted by the sudden vomiting of Aurora Babena. Unlike in the original novel, because a certain man just happened to appear last time and successfully saved the Nine Snake Emperor Orobabena, who was a little pissed, also officially forgave her abandoning the country. And the former emperor who ran away in his own adoptive mother, and after 10 years of running away, Gloriosa's heart that caused lovesickness at the beginning has finally recovered, so it is nearly 20 years earlier than in the original book. Back to Nine Snake Island. However, seeing that everything was going smoothly, on the Snake G side, suddenly something went wrong. Thinking that she was sick and almost died 3 months ago, this time, although it was just sudden vomiting, the nearby maids first notified Gloriosa without thinking. Even faster than notifying the doctors on the island. Knowing that the righteous daughter had problems again, Gloriosa quickly rushed over. Nana, what's wrong? Gloriosa asked. It's nothing, Aurora Babena leaned on her body, leaning on a flower snake, Sophia, who had been with her, and said weakly, it's just that she suddenly felt dizzy, weak, and nauseated. Could it be? Hearing her words, Gloriosa frowned. Then, go forward and investigate. Old Captain, what's the matter with Lady Snake G? Could it be that the previous illness has been committed again? Beside, the maids asked with concern. No, this. I'm afraid it's not a disease, Gloriosa said. What is that? Everyone said. Simply put, Gloriosa thought for a while, even the Snake Princess will have a child too. What? Hearing this, everyone was stunned. What? The next moment, he exhaled in a low voice. Mother, really? Orobabena, who was rather weak at first, blushed in an instant. I have his child. It is true that I have a child, Gloriosa said, but. But what? Well, nothing. Gloriosa hesitated, but finally swallowed the words. There was no doubt that Aurora Babena had more life in her belly. But whether it was his child, as she said, was a question. You must know that this righteous girl of yours has just met that man, and then something that happened. It didn't even take a month. How could there be such an obvious reaction right away? What's more, because of the long-term practice, Orobabena's physical quality and self-adjustment ability are also extraordinary, and the time for that kind of reaction should be later than the average person. If the average person is said to have a reaction in about a month and a half, then she should at least feel it after 2 or 3 months. But now, in less than a month, not only did her righteous daughter have a fetus in her womb, but what was certain was that she had never had contact with any other man except for that man last month. If so, there is only one possibility. At the beginning, when I was in Sabodi Archipelago, in order to let this mortal fellow have the last sustenance in his heart, so as to survive strong, and also to let her leave Amazon. Lily, a talented female warrior, come inheriting her aptitude. I once had someone take the fountain of life from Nine Snake Island, and let her drink it as a medicine for healing. The fountain of life, originally, was the spring water that Nine Snake Island used to continue from generation to generation. For the Nine Snakes Island, where there are no men and males are not allowed to enter, even if the Nine Snakes pirates sometimes have contact with some men outside and become pregnant, the number of the Nine Snakes pirates is only 1,000th of the country. Relying on that 1,000th of the people, no matter how they can give birth, it is obviously impossible to maintain the population base of the entire country. For 0.9% of the people in the country, they still have no contact with men in their whole life. In this case, if you want to maintain the population base and make the country continue, you must rely on the water of the fountain of life. It should have been like this. However, who would have thought that just after feeding her a few months ago, that man appeared later? Then, last month, she was officially married. This time, it's a little bit troublesome. Gloriosa looked again at Aurora Babena, who was so excited that she wanted to fly to the man and tell him, "You're going to be a dad." What if she was told now that the child had nothing to do with the man at all? Angry, furious, depressed, disappointed, depressed? No one can predict. Forget it, anyway, it doesn't matter if you don't say it. Gloriosa thought to herself. If that's the case, just pretend that you haven't seen anything and don't know anything. Gloriosa made up his mind quickly. On the opposite side, Oro Babena was immersed in joy and excitement at this time, and her mind was full of children, and children's father. There was no time to pay attention to the look of her adoptive mother. Hancock. Is this the child's name? He said that he was very satisfied with the name. Aurora Babena couldn't even sit still. She quickly stood up and walked excitedly around the room. Go. What's next? Well, will the baby be born tomorrow, or is it better to tell him right away? This. Gloriosa was speechless. Although there used to be women in the 9 snake pirates who came into contact with men outside and then became pregnant, since the previous emperor, she ran away because of men. The Generation 9 snakes led by Orobabena. In the past 10 years, I have been disgusted by contact with men, so there is really no precedent for pregnancy. At this moment, when I encounter this kind of thing, I really don't even have basic common sense. If I say it, it's a black line. Don't worry. The child will take a few months to be born. You are pregnant now, and this time I will resume my old job and take the 9 snake pirates. Oh no, the 9 snakes pirates, where to go report the news? Gloriosa said. Really? Oro Babena smiled. Sure enough, the mother is still the best. Ha. You didn't say that a few years ago. Is there such a thing? Well, forget it. All in all, I'll set off with everyone tomorrow. You stay in the country and take a good rest. Why don't you leave now? You have only been separated for a few days. Do you need to be in a hurry this night, and want me to set off in the dark? It's been 27 days and 7 hours apart. Looking at the righteous girl who counted the days apart in hours, Gloriosa couldn't help but be speechless. On the other side, South Blue Shia Island, Marine 137 branch. Ding. The system prompts. Husband and wife concentric, passively triggered. There is currently a wife in a crisis state, please pay attention. Hearing the sound of a prompt from the system, Sha Luo, who was on a routine, fishing, couldn't help but frown. Ding. System prompt. Husband and wife concentric, trigger. There is currently a wife in crisis, please pay attention. Hearing the prompt sound from the system, Sha Luo couldn't help frowning. Tianlong people, action. Immediately, a frown. The next moment, the light and shadow flickered in front of me, and I saw myself, as if I was already in a thick smoke. Let the smoke out first, and then attack while the chaos? Sha Luo instinctively wanted to turn on observation hockey and check the enemy's situation. But at this time, seeing and hearing color is not turned on at all. Mom. At the same time, I could only hear a young girl beside me, calling out to me in a panic. Sha Luo lowered her head and looked at the girl, only to see that the little girl was 3 or 4 years old, with pink hair, her lovely daughter, Hina. And in front of himself, he was still playing a pair of very moving double feng. You are now. Tia? It turned out that seeing herself from Tia's point of view was such a scene. But now I have no time to care about that. Hina, don't panic, Mom will protect you. Tia quickly protected her daughter. Ah. What happened? Yes, is it a pirate? At the same time, there was a loud and panicky shouting around. Here, it seems to be the amusement park of Sabodi Archipelago. Today is a time when there are many tourists. Many adults and children come out to play together, but I did not expect that such a change suddenly occurred. Ooh. Nearby, a young boy was choked by the sudden surge of smoke and instinctively burst into tears. Variant, don't cry. Hearing the boy's cry, a middle-aged woman comforted eagerly. Zephyr's wife, Regina, and their son Valiant are also there. Sha Luo frowned and quickly returned to herself from Tia's field of vision. Then, take a deep breath. No time to watch the play slowly. Since the other party is here to assassinate, for an assassination type attack, sometimes it only takes a moment to complete the task. Backquote. The next moment, Sha Luo disappeared from a small wooden boat in a certain sea area of South Blue and flashed over. At the same time, he quickly lowered his head and shielded his breath, so he did not immediately expose himself. Observation hockey not only has the effect of perceiving the enemy's breath, but also has the effect of shielding its own breath. Under normal circumstances, when the difference in intensity between the two sides of the enemy is not large, the shielding effect is not obvious, but if it is the intensity difference of the crushing level, it is another matter. Combining the electromagnetic ability with her own perception, and then using the cover of thick smoke, Sha Luo instantly shielded herself to the point of being barely noticed. Then, quickly felt it. I saw that on the playground, there were panic people everywhere at this time, as well as some other people with stronger or weaker strength. Several of them formed a circle on the periphery, and in the center were his wife, daughter, Regina and Valiant. Then, let's do it. Sha Luo thought to himself, I see who you are. Shish. While he was whispering to himself, the other party did not hesitate. In the thick smoke, a figure suddenly activated, attacked and killed the opposite Tia. What a fast speed. Sha Luo thought, comparable to Marine 6 styles, or rather, 6 styles. Immediately, he dodged and arrived at Tia's side at a faster speed. Tia, be careful. On the side, Lisa, who had successfully learned hockey 2 years ago, shouted at this moment. Then, with a shoo sound, flashed past. Seeing her dodging, Sha Luo stopped in her footsteps and at the same time retracted the fist that was about to be punched out. The next moment, Lisa had already flashed to Tia's side. Then, the sword around his waist twitched instantly, and a quick drawing and slashing facing the rushing enemy, slashed over. Seeing this, the tall man on the opposite side moved quickly. Huh. In an instant, it flashed to the side a few meters away. Shaved? Lisa was equally surprised. Who are you guys from Marine 6 styles? Hearing his words, the man paused slightly. He originally seemed to want to reveal which of the other established identities, but he didn't expect that the opposite side was not so weak, and he still saw it. That being the case, kill in silence. People will naturally not speak when they die, and as long as they live, they still have the opportunity to fabricate their identity. What 6 forms? The man said, Lousy is the one who came to take your life. Saying that, with a swoosh, he attacked Lisa again. Lisa quickly swung her sword to meet him again. But at this time, the man's figure flashed, and he had already changed positions quickly. Immediately afterwards, Liza suddenly appeared in the air behind Liza, who was slashing the sky with a single sword. Lisa's pupils could not help shrinking. This man, not only can shave, but also has a very high standard. At this time, he wanted to turn around quickly to meet him, but it was too late. Oops. Lisa muttered inwardly. Go to hell, the man shouted angrily. Saying that, he punched him, but this time. Shish. In the midair beside him, a figure suddenly flashed like an electric light and flint. And then you have to have that ability. Woo. Before he finished speaking, he heard a loud sound in the air, and the man suddenly slammed down like a cannonball. On the ground, there was a sudden shock, and a large amount of broken soil flew up. Seeing this scene, Lisa's eyes couldn't help but move. In midair, the burly figure fell steadily. On him, and on the fist he just swung, like the armor of thunder and lightning, a lavender arc flashed at this time. Beside him, Tia, who was trying to protect the child, Hina, who was being protected by her, and Guillaume, who was a few meters away, couldn't help but startled at the same time. Shaving moonwalk. This kind of thing. Lousy knew it 16 years ago. The figure closed his fist, exhaled, and said with a look of disdain. Dad. The next moment, through the lingering smoke, Hina and Guillaume exhaled in unison. Shaved and moonwalk. That kind of stuff, Lousy did 16 years ago. Dad. Lo, that burly figure was undoubtedly Sha Luo. Seeing that Father suddenly appeared like a god at a critical moment, in an instant, Guillaume and Hina, in their big eyes, were extremely excited. Even worship. Other than that, no other expressions could be found. Even the previous panic has completely disappeared. Because, with the father here, who can hurt her? Father is the most powerful, reliable, majestic and handsome man in the world. Even Lisa and Tia were moved when they saw his current state. Immortal state plus flesh one body activation, combined with their own strong legs and feet and moonwalk skills, this combination that increases their own dodging and shooting speed to ultimate, they have never seen it before. Gee. When a strong enemy like Oribabena was used, it was never used. But now, since the time has come to break with Marine, and his wife and daughter are threatened, MD still has the power to leave a fart. Hit. Hit hard. With the immortal state, armament hockey, unicorn arms, and the activation of the meat body, Sha Luo punched down. Even an iron-headed bull like Green Pepper would have to drink a pot if he was caught off guard, and this time, that the tall man was not only caught off guard, but he was also hit in the back of the head. In an instant, his brain was concussed, and he was lying on the ground. His hands and feet twitched, and he couldn't get up again for a while. Of course, Sha Luo couldn't beat the opponent to death all at once. Because, although the opponent thought it was foolproof, and then used the best Marine 6 styles in order to end the battle in the shortest time, this has actually revealed his identity, but the truth of the matter must be made clear. Sha Luo quickly slapped the palm again, disrupting the bioelectricity in the tall man. Boss. What's the situation? Outside, someone shouted at this time. Success. Sha Luo imitated the tall man's voice and said, "Come in and clear the field." Hearing his words, outside, everyone was slightly puzzled. Although the playground is noisy now, so many things cannot be heard clearly from the outside just now, but just now, two little girls shouted, "Dad!" loudly, although can be understood as calling for parents in despair, but that sound, it doesn't seem to be desperate. Several people were on the periphery, hesitating to enter. Sha Luo quietly patted Gion's arm beside him. Little Gion's big eyes rolled, and there seemed to be a connection between her daughter and her father, and she understood what her father meant. "Ooh," Gion burst into tears, "if my dad were here, you guys. None of you can beat him." Crying tremblingly and vividly, the little girl is full of despair and can only use her father who is far away to strengthen her courage. Hearing her cry, a few people in the periphery believed it slightly. Then, rush into the smoke. "Haha, no matter how strong your father is, what can he do?" A few people said with a pirate-like tone, a little deliberately acting, and laughed loudly. However, whether acting or not, no matter how strong he is, he really can't do anything. Sha Luo's voice suddenly sounded near two of them. "At most, it's just to kill you all." Huh? Hearing this, everyone was shocked, but this time one by one. "Who?" Sha Luo punched down, and one of them fell instantly. Then, "Who? Who? Who?" Just like the yellow flash in Hokage, Sha Luo's figure flashed quickly, and in a blink of an eye, several people had all fallen down. The eyes of two of them could not help but move. "Thunder Eater. Sha Luo. That's right, it's me." Sha Luo smiled coldly, "So, do you still have to resist?" Hearing his words, the hearts of several people were instantly desperate. Because, this guy is several times stronger than rumored and imagined. "Sha Luo. Why are you here all of a sudden?" The smoke faded, and nearby, even Zephyr's wife, Regina, came back to her senses with a look of surprise. "My wife and daughter are in trouble, can I not come?" Sha Luo smiled slightly. Hearing his words, next to him, Lisa, Tia, Gion, and Hina moved in unison in their eyes. "Husband Kun-sama, Father-sama, so handsome, tattoo, tattoo." Just as he was about to say something, at this time, he could only hear the sound of a rush of running from outside. "Marine. It's Marine," someone exclaimed excitedly. Hearing this, the faces of the people lying on the ground, which were originally rather hopeless, suddenly showed involuntarily. "It's Marine." Regina also sighed with relief and said happily, "Now they can be arrested." "Do you think you can do something to them if you arrest them?" Sha Luo sighed and laughed. "Huh?" Regina asked in confusion. "What do you mean?" Hearing her question, Sha Luo didn't answer directly, but looked at the few people lying on the ground. "Speaking of which, you seem very happy and looking forward to hearing that Marine is here." Hearing his words, several people's hearts sank in unison. This guy, has he noticed even the slightest change in his mood? Lord Kun. These people's identities are probably not simple. Beside, Lisa also remembered something, and said solemnly, "So skilled Marine 6 styles, outsiders can't learn it casually." "Yeah." Sha Luo nodded and looked at several people, "So, if you want to rely on Marine to escape, don't hold that hope." Saying that, his brows furrowed. The next moment, an invisible coercion swept through. Plop. 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 Inside and outside the amusement park, the original tourists, as well as Marine who rushed over, collapsed collectively. In front of them, among the 6 attackers, 2 people instinctively trembled. As for the other 4, although their expressions changed involuntarily, they all seemed to have calmed down. "Oh." Looking at this scene, Sha Luo's mouth twitched slightly, "Looks like it's really not ordinary." Although Sha Luo didn't turn hockey's intensity to the highest level after all, the other party had to be awake before the other party could speak, but, facing his medium-intensity conquerors, he just changed his face, but he still tingled, and the person in front of him just changed his face. Among these 6 people, 4 people seemed to be hard bones. Of course, with such hard bones lying in front of him, Sha Luo would not appreciate it like the common plots in some novels and anime. Nothing to appreciate. This is Conqueror's hockey. In front of them, the 4 of them were shocked. Of course they have heard of hockey, and they have it, but Conqueror's hockey, in Marine, is like a legend. To be precise, apart from some rambunctious guys who may have this kind of hockey, other Marines, even Marshal Kong, or admirals like Zephyr Sengoku, absolutely don't. However, this guy in front of him who looks to be in his 20s not only has, but also has such strength. Hearing the shocked words of the 4, Sha Luo didn't answer, just looked at them lightly. Then, look, to the two ladies around you. Lisa, Tia, blocked Gion and Hina's eyes a little. Dad, why? Gion and Hina asked in confusion. For you, it's still a little early, Sha Luo said. Hearing his words, Gion and Hina seemed to understand something and let their mother cover their eyes obediently. And Sha Luo, at this time, quickly took out a few ordinary iron swords from the space. Then, shoo, 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 shoo. The four of them frowned. Then, the body twitched a few times. Then it stopped moving. Each of them had a sword inserted into them. Sha Luo didn't even bother to pull out. Looking at this scene, the faces of the remaining two people couldn't help being moved. He has a special identity and has the backstage of the government, but this man is extremely decisive and merciless? Then, it's just the two of you left. Sha Luo looked at the two of them. Next, do you want to die with them, or just confess your identities honestly? Do you have a chance to live if you confess your identity? A man said, I won't believe you. Really? Sha Luo smiled coldly, but you seem to have misunderstood one thing. What's the matter? The man shuddered a little. It's not a question of whether you believe me or not, Sha Luo said slowly, it's a question of whether I unilaterally want to let you go. As he spoke, his brows furrowed again. The next moment, a powerful coercion rushed into the man's heart. In an instant, the man felt that his heart was trembling, and he was even completely suppressed by that powerful force. And immediately, completely dominated by the opponent. The territory of tyrants, the domain dominated by tyrants. The weak will be captured, and the shakers will be dominated. The mind is like a fog, and the man can't even use his reason and make his own thinking. And Sha Luo, at this moment, suddenly took out a small black phone bug and put it aside. Then his sword brows slanted and he looked at the man. I ask you, who are you and who ordered your actions? What was your original action plan? We are people from the Secret Intelligence Agency CPO directly under the world government. The man said involuntarily. This operation, of course, was ordered by Marie Joyce. Hey, Dylan, what are you talking about? Next to him, another man exclaimed, if you betray. Shish. Before he finished speaking, another sword appeared in Sha Luo's hand, and the backhand was a sword. The man twitched a few times. There was no sound. Seeing this scene, the remaining man's mind trembled involuntarily. And Sha Luo glared at him again. Keep talking. Yes. The man said involuntarily, our original plan of action was to kill any or all of the wife or daughters of Major Marine Sha Luo. In order for him to provoke Big Mom Charlotte Linlin, and thus the punishment that led to the Bologna War, after the event is completed, you can still loudly declare that you are a member of the Big Mom Pirates, and that he was specially designed to assassinate her husband's other wives, so it is all pushed to big on the head of the Mom Pirates. They can also make them seek revenge and kill each other. What? Hearing his words, Lisa and Tia couldn't help being moved. This plan is too poisonous. If they really had a grudge against them and killed them, or if they said they were at fault and punished them strongly, they would admit it, but after killing them, they had to make sure that their husband Kun was not an enemy. The people killed each other and worked for the forces behind the one who killed one. This plan is simply insidious and simply vicious. What's more, the punishment is actually revenge, right? It's not that they didn't know about the Tianlong people being killed. What else? Sha Luo frowned and continued. In addition, the wife of Marine Admiral Zephyr, who often travels with Major Sha Luo's wife, and his son are also within the target of killing. The man added, it's just right, after the matter is over, it's all pushed to the pirates. On the head. Hearing his words, Regina couldn't help but look surprised. Why even kill Admiral's wife and son? Sha Luo said. This. We don't know. The man said, the above order is just to kill it, and then call yourself a pirate and leave the scene without thinking about taking responsibility. That is to say, the government will suppress the situation, or even distort the facts, like treating me, to encourage Zephyr Admiral, whose wife and son were killed by them, to become a deadly vengeance with the pirates. Sha Luo said coldly. Regina is regarded as a major hidden danger around Zephyr because of her descent towards the world's nobles, the dragons, and entered the secret clearance list. It is indeed unlikely that the dragons will tell the CPO, even if it is their direct espionage mechanism. But, whether you know the reason or not, the things to do are the same. Maybe this incident would have been delayed for 2 years, but this time, it happened to catch up with Big Mom, the most suitable person to blame, so everything seemed to be a few years earlier than in the original. That's right. The man said. Hearing his words, everyone fell silent. Zephyr. After a long while, Regina murmured in shock. In fact, she is also a smart person. At this time, she has faintly thought of the reason why she was listed as the target of killing. Simply put, let your husband change to an obedient wife. However, she still never dreamed, just like with Sha Luo and his wives, the death of herself and her son will continue to be used by the murderers. This is simply vicious. Huh. Sha Luo exhaled deeply. Okay, you can rest. With that said, an iron sword appeared in his hand again. Shish.